Chapter-421 at all costs. What's wrong with him? Sarutobi Bawako crossed his arms and looked at Danzo with a serious look on his face. You already knew. Why didn't you tell Hiruzen? He's now the vice captain of Anbu and knows too much about Konoha's people and things. You know he has a problem, yet you dare to let him go like this. Bawako, can you calm down? Danzo frowned. It's not like you. Bang. I almost died in the black market. How can you keep me calm? Sarutobi Bawako clapped his hands on the table vigorously and said angrily to Danzo, it's been 2 years. My mission in the black market has never had an accident. Never. Wuyong has purchased information no less than 20 times, and he has never found anything. He has never been interested in my identity. But just a few days ago, Hangguang went to the black market. My identity was exposed. As Konoha's ninja lurking in the black market, Sarutobi Bawako wants to collect all kinds of information for Konoha, but because she is only an S-class killer, she cannot directly find the details of the Super S-class bounty task from the official black market. In this case, Sarutobi Bawako had to buy information from other Super S-class killers. Wuyong, that is, Toyama Crossing, was the black market Super S-class killer who had sold the most information to Sarutobi Bawako, and was the only black market ninja who discovered the identity of Sarutobi Bawako. You don't have to stare at me. Staring at me won't solve the problem. Danzo tapped his fingertips on the table. Although Sarutobi Bawako's attitude was very bad, it was difficult for Danzo to get angry. Maybe it's because it's too familiar. Sarutobi Hiruzen, Danzo, Kaharu Utatane, Homura Mitokado, Sarutobi Lake Biwa, Akamichi Fufeng, Hyuga Tiger Young. They are all about the same age. They were all born before the establishment of Konoha, grew up together after the establishment of Konoha, and fought side by side. Once the best friend, and to this day, also maintain an extraordinary friendship. It is precisely because they are too familiar, and the two have little difference in status, so the two can talk like this. In a word, to do or not to do. Sarutobi Bawako stared at Danzo's eyes. Although she had a very high status, she could not mobilize senior ninjas, so she could only ask Danzo for help. Maybe, we should wait for Hiruzen to come back. Danzo said calmly, expressionless, making it impossible to guess what he was thinking. And wait. If Hiruzen was here, I wouldn't come to you. Sarutobi Bawako stared. There must be something wrong with that guy. And he already knows that I found his problem. If you wait any longer, what is wrong? Can you take responsibility? However, if there is no problem with Hangguang, can you take the responsibility? Danzo said in a deep voice, you must understand. White Fang is still in the country of Vortex, and I have no right to mobilize Anbu. The entire Anbu only obeys Hangguang. Order. His own strength is also very strong. The price of moving him is very large. I don't hesitate. If I'm wrong, I'm willing to bear everything. Sarutobi Bawako said decisively. Okay, what you said. Danzo stood up all of a sudden. In fact, he kept pushing back. It wasn't that he didn't dare to touch the cold light, but he just didn't want to take responsibility, because he understood the importance of cold light in Hokage's heart. If he was wrong, the Hokage assistant, there's no need to do it. Now that someone is taking the blame, Danzo is happy to help. From the initial failure of sending Asa Tianju and assassinating Hangguang to Shimura's death, Danzo always knew that there was something wrong with Hangguang, but apart from these things he couldn't say, he had no other substantial evidence to prove what was wrong with Hangguang. Hangguang's performance was too good, it could even be said to be terrifying, which made Danzo gradually change his mind. To kill this scourge, it is better to win over this scourge. And now, under the influence of Sarutobi Lake Biwa, Danzo is killing again. Danzo is very clear that in Sarutobi Hiruzen's heart, Hangguang is enough to cultivate the existence of Hokage's successor, so even if there is no other influence, just say this, Hangguang is dead. It may be a great loss for Konoha, but for Danzo personally, it is excellent. Konoha Anbu Station, office. Ah, I have a headache, why do you want me to see this kind of thing? You can obviously solve it yourself. Luhan sat behind the desk with a wrinkled face, and after a while, he opened and signed scrolls one after another. Throw it aside. He had returned to the Anbu station, and he had been in the office dealing with various affairs, and had been brought in by someone. In front of the desk, Sarutobi Yushuin looked at Luhan with a serious face. What the hell are these? It's just that I sent a few ninjas to the country of rain, and I have to approve it. Luhan was thinking again. I didn't need it originally, but since you've come back, you need it. Sarutobi Yushuin said solemnly. Bastard White Fang. He's still in the country of Vortex. I've only been gone for a few days, that's all. Damn war. Luhan had always been reluctant to do this kind of office work. And the previous Anbu was not so busy. Recently, there will be so many affairs, naturally because of the war. By the way, your mother is back, don't you know? Luhan suddenly raised his head and said. Mother. Sarutobi Yushuin was taken aback for a moment, and then he said again, you already know. Something happened in Blackstone, and she has come back. Luhan raised his head and continued, you haven't seen her for a long time, right? Go back first if you have nothing to do. This. Sarutobi Yushuin hesitated and glanced at the large stack of document scrolls on the table. Go ahead, I'll take care of it, I won't be lazy. Luhan raised his hand to Sarutobi Yushuin. Okay. Sarutobi Yushuin nodded, greeted Luhan, and walked quickly to the outside of the grotto. It's so annoying. Really. Luhan muttered and picked up another scroll, just about to open it. Ding. There is a hostile target 98 meters to the northwest. The alarm sound suddenly sounded from Luhan's ear. Luhan frowned for a moment. Yuhi name appeared in Anbu. Immediately after opening the insight map, Luhan stood up abruptly and blurted out, fuck. How did this guy become Yuhi again? The insight map shows that the big Yuhi name. Konoha Hokage Assistant, Level 60 Bronze Boss, Danzo. Chapter-421-440 A Gift for Senro. Judging from the orientation shown on the insight map, Danzo is in the tunnel outside the grotto, walking towards the office, and he will be there soon. This guy. Is it going to be the opposite? Luhan's eyes flashed, his face became gloomy and uncertain. He could think of this. At this time Sarutobi Hiruzen was not in Konoha village, and Danzo had the right to rule Konoha village, and Danzo has never given up his ambition to become Hokage. If he wants to compete for the position of Hokage now, although it is incomprehensible to do so at this time, it is not completely impossible. Is nothing that Danzo dare not do. And Luhan, or the entire Anbu, all belong to Sarutobi Hiruzen. If Danzo wants to seize power, he must first get Anbu. No way. This guy. Luhan muttered to himself, then slowly sat back in his chair. In the original book, there was no plot of Danzo winning the Hokage position in the early days of World War II, but there was no Luhan in the original book either. Luhan coming to the world of Hokage has an immeasurable butterfly effect. He has changed so many things that anything is possible. Dimly lit cave passage. Sarutobi Yushuin just walked out of the office and entered the passage. He didn't walk very far when he met the mysterious Danzo. Although Danzo was wearing a trench coat and a fat kabuto hat covered his head, Sarutobi Yushuin still recognized it at a glance. Who is coming? I have seen Lord Danzo. Sarutobi Yushuin stopped and said respectfully. Well, Captain Hangwang is in the office. Danzo responded with a nasal voice indifferently, and asked again. He watched Sarutobi Yushuin grow up, but Danzo has always been serious about juniors, so his relationship with Sarutobi Yushuin is not close. Here, the recently squeezed files are being processed. Sarutobi Yushuin said. Okay, your mother is back, go and have a look. Danzo nodded. Sarutobi Yushuin greeted Danzo respectfully again. The two passed by. Danzo walked quickly to the door of the office, and pushed the door directly in. Luhan, who was lying on the desk to review the documents, raised his head, raised his brows, sat up a lot, tapped his fingers on the desk, and smiled lightly. Lord Danzo. The news is very well informed. You will find me as soon as I come back. Come on, what's the matter? Han Guang returned to Konoha, because he went to Lord Hokage to find Sarutobi Hiruzen as Han Guang, but he couldn't find it. You already know about Mr. Hokage's departure, right? Danzo had a serious expression and looked like he was working. As he spoke, he walked to the desk and sat on the chair. Of course, I have something very important to report to Lord Hokage, but I didn't expect Lord Hokage to go out. Lu Han said lightly. Did the mission go well? Danzo asked. Mission. Lu Han's heart moved, and he glanced at Yuhi's name above Danzo's head. Lord Danzo should understand, I don't need to report to you. I saw Lake Biwa just now, and she told me something. Danzo and Lu Han looked at each other. It seems that you have a conflict. I'm cheap. I shouldn't have saved that menopausal bitch. I deserve to be struck by lightning. Lu Han spread his hands. He was angry with Sarutobi Lake Biwa, and he was not polite. The corner of Danzo's mouth trembled, and he glanced at Lu Han in surprise. Menopause shrew. It seems that no other person in Konoha dares to describe Sarutobi Lake Biwa in this way. Don't talk about her. Danzo waved his hand and said in a low voice. I am in charge of Konoha now, although Anbu is not under my management, but you have to understand that Lord Hokage's return date is not yet fixed, and many things, if you don't say it in time, it's too late, especially with the daimyo, so. If there's any emergency, you can report it to me. I will. Lu Han smiled slightly. Well, you're busy. Danzo got up and walked out. Lu Han watched Danzo go out and let out a slow sigh of relief until the door was closed. Yuhi name Danzo. It is not a common Yuhi name, but a Yuhi name that shows the level of strength. This kind of Yuhi name has subjective killing intent, not simple malice. That is to say, Danzo may directly attack Lu Han, which is the same as Lu Han just now. Worried. Lu Han is not afraid of the level 60 bronze boss, he just killed one a few days ago. But in a small space like the cave office, Horaishan's abilities are limited. The outcome is unpredictable. What does this guy mean? Come to test me. It's not good. He is in charge of Konoha now. Besides the roots, he can mobilize too much power. If he really wants to rebel, he can't use the Hyuga clan, but the Uchiha clan. Sitting upright on the chair, Lu Han thought for a long time, turned around suddenly, and disappeared into the office. Konoha Village, a mysterious place, underground hall. A strange chakra wave turbulent throughout the hall, the dense orangutan Yuhi mantra on the ground flickered and flickered constantly. Head down. Ta, ta, ta. The crisp footsteps echoed from the far hole, getting closer and closer. Bastard, it should be night now, disturbing the dream. The figure in the blood robe made a yin and yang sound, raised his head impatiently, and a pair of Mangekyo Sharingan flashed playful colors. Sen Luo. Danzo stepped out of the cave and stopped, looking at the middle of the hall. Why? Senju responded impatiently, then raised his eyebrows in surprise, tilted his head and looked behind Danzo. Who is that? A present for you, Danzo said nonchalantly. A gift for me, Sen Luo exclaimed in surprise, then exaggeratedly laughed. Ha 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 ha, you damn bastard. You actually gave me a gift. Did you ask me for something? Ha 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 ha, you have today too. Ha 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 ha. Danzo remained expressionless, raised his hand slightly and gestured behind him. The root ninja in mask and tight-fitting ninja came out of the darkness behind Danzo and stopped by Danzo's side. This is a female ninja. I can't see what she looks like, and I don't know what age she is, and her body is extremely feminine. Danzo turned and walked towards the hole. Hey, you bastard, you haven't said anything yet. Sen Luo cried. I'll let you know when the time comes. Danzo's voice faded away. Chapter 0423_unusual cold. Night, Konoha Village Core Area, Tsunade's residence. The warm hall, the small square table is full of various foods. Luhan, Tsunade, Uzumaki Kushina, and Hyuga Luoning are sitting around the table. Kushina knelt beside Luhan, pouting a small mouth. You don't even need to look at Luhan with the humming look. Rice. After Hyuga Luoning handed the bowl of rice to Luhan, she obediently sat down on the opposite side, beside Tsunade. Today, after Luhan left Anbu, he immediately went to find Uzumaki Kushina, who had already left school. During the time when Luhan was away, Kushina was always taken care of by Hyuga Luoning. For some reason, Hyuga Luoning had already asked Uzumaki Kushina to disclose the identity. After finding Kushina, Luhan brought Kushina and Hyuga Luoning to Tsunade, originally to discuss things, but it was just in time for dinner, so Tsunade cooked a few more dishes with the help of Hyuga Luoning. Has Kushina been in trouble recently? Luhan asked Kushina, squinting with his rice bowl in hand. Humph. The little girl tilted her head and ignored Luhan. Did she get into trouble? Luhan looked at Hyuga Luoning and asked again, why did you pretend like this on purpose? Hyuga Luoning just said. I didn't cause trouble, don't make any false accusations. Kushina exclaimed a little excitedly, glaring at Luhan angrily. She didn't cause trouble. Hyuga Luoning pursed her lips and smiled, gave Kushina a playful look, and said, where did Tenten talk? Where did the bad guys go? Why haven't the bad guys come back? Caring about people, you can go wherever you say. No. Kushina quickly denied it, looking very nervous, her face a little yuhi. Wow, isn't it? So it's because of this anger. Luhan looked at Kushina and said exaggeratedly, I've only been gone for a few days, do you miss me? No, Kushina doesn't think of bad people. No, Kushina's cerebellum shook like a rattle, vehemently denying it. Tsunade was full of anger. Okay, Kushina doesn't want bad people. Tsunade, who was sitting opposite, coaxed, and put a ball into Kushina's bowl. Kushina always listened to Tsunade's words, and suddenly became honest. Thank you, Sister Tsunade. Kushina said with a sweet smile, then tilted her head to look at Luhan and snorted. Hey, what did you call Tsunade just now? Luhan squinted at Kushina. Sister Tsunade. Oops. Kushina replied subconsciously, and screamed in pain again, covering her forehead and staring at Luhan. Luhan tapped Kushina on the head gently. It's called auntie, understand? It can't be called sister. Luhan gave Kushina a threatening look, exactly as if Kushina would be beaten if she dared to object. In terms of seniority, Kushina should really call Tsunade aunt, but because Kushina followed Uzumaki Mito before, she was called Uzumaki Mito grandma, and Uzumaki Mito was Tsunade's grandmother, so she was called Tsunade's sister. Kushina held her head and looked at Luhan, her eye circles suddenly became yuhi, and she immediately looked at Tsunade again with a look of grievance and help. Okay, it doesn't matter what it's called. Tsunade hurriedly spoke to Kushina. Don't let me hear you call your sister next time, be careful. Luhan raised his finger to Kushina. You have the ability to bully children. Kushina muttered aggrievedly and lowered her head. Okay, it's time to eat. Tsunade reached out and touched Kushina's little head, then gave Luhan a reproachful look. Don't be so cruel to children, Kushina is so good. She is the ancestor. Tenten loses her temper, I have to coax her from Tenten. Luhan curled his lips and said. Kushina, who was kneeling on the side, had already started to shed tears, her shoulders were shaking, and her head was bowed in grievance. Okay, you won. Luhan reached out and pulled Kushina into his arms, wiped the tears from his fleshy face, and coaxed, Kushina is good. Kushina is not angry, eat this. Luhan took a ball to Kushina's mouth. Kushina, who was leaning in Luhan's arms, slowly opened his mouth sobbing. She was very aggrieved and angry, but she didn't want to be awkward with Luhan to the end, but needed Luhan's comfort. After half an hour, Hyuga Luoning, who was sitting next to Tsunade, had put down her chopsticks, and Kushina was still sitting in Luhan's arms. People want to eat that. Kushina pointed to the plate with tempura on the table. If you eat too much, you will gain weight. Luhan pinched Kushina's cheek, stuck out his chopsticks and picked up a piece of golden-colored fried shrimp, and brought it to Kushina's mouth. Kushina devoured the fried shrimp in a big mouthful, and seemed to be unable to eat any more. He patted his stomach and said, "I am full. Take her out." Luhan looked at Hyuga Luo Ning, paused and then said, "From tomorrow onwards, Kushina will take her to Anbu after school." "Okay." Hyuga Luo Ning nodded, didn't ask why, got up and stretched out his hand to Kushina. "If you're full, drive them away." Kushina muttered, turned around in Luhan's arms, and kissed Luhan's cheek very sweetly, then took Hyuga Luo Ning's hand in hand with Hyuga Luo Ning and jumped away. Han. Tsunade frowned and looked at Luhan after Shinai and Hyuga Luo Ning went out. Did something happen? Why do you say that? Luhan picked up the bowl and took a bite of the rice. You're abnormal. Tsunade stared at Luhan. Also, you arranged Kushina in Anbu. It's really something. Luhan put down the tableware and wiped his mouth. You, and Jiraiya Orochimaru, it's best not to go out to perform tasks recently. I may need your help. Luhan came to Tsunade for dinner today, and that's why. He didn't know what kind of power Danzo would use when he decided to do it. Luhan couldn't guess. Chapter 0424-inventory. Is it serious? Tsunade's brows were already deeply wrinkled, and her beautiful face was full of worry. She had to worry because Sarutobi Hiruzen was not in Konoha. Although Konoha can operate as usual without Sarutobi Hiruzen, the ability to deal with changes is completely different. Sarutobi Hiruzen has ruled Konoha for more than 10 years, and his will has been integrated into every aspect of Konoha. Time is difficult to solve. Very serious. Luhan nodded, his face slightly serious. This is a trouble that even the whole Anbu can't solve. Yes? Tsunade asked with his eyes. I can't tell you yet, because it's probably wrong. Luhan said bluntly. Anyway, try not to leave Konoha recently. You'll help me, right? Of course. Tsunade nodded. That's good. Luhan smiled. I hope the things I worry about won't happen. I hope so. Let's eat. You didn't eat much just now. Tsunade said, grabbing the ball with his hand and handing it to Luhan's bowl. She didn't ask Luhan what happened, because Luhan was Anbu's deputy captain, and what Luhan said he knew was probably Anbu's top secret information. Do you know what Lord Hokage is going to do? Luhan raised the bowl and asked again. Tsunade shook his head and said quickly, don't you know? Teacher, he didn't leave a message for you in Anbu. No, it seems that he left in a hurry. It should be something very important and urgent. Luhan shook his head slightly, showing a thoughtful look. In fact, he was very curious, why would Sarutobi Hiruzen leave alone at this time? Konoha. He was even relieved to delegate power to Danzo. Perhaps, where Sarutobi Hiruzen went, only Danzo knows. Has Captain White Fang returned yet? No, this guy, I also hope he can come back sooner. I heard that Kurigakure has completely withdrawn from the country of Vortex, and there is news that the country of water is about to be completely blocked. It is estimated that they do not want to participate in this ninja war. Well, Ghost Lantern Wanyu is dead. There is no suitable leader, and there is not enough interest to drive them. They should adopt a self-defense counterattack strategy. The two chatted while eating. Before you know it, the night is deep. Late at night, guest room on the second floor of the main building of Tsunade residence. With the doors and windows closed, Luhan sat cross-legged in a nightgown on the soft slump. With a wave of his hand, a total of more than 70 falling objects filled the entire slum. This was to kill the level 50 white-silver boss Ideng Xiao. Warehouse, and all the drop rewards for the first kill of the level 60 bronze boss Toyama Crossing. Luhan was secretly protecting Sarutobi Konoha back from Lake Biwa, and there was no free time all the way. After returning to Konoha, When he arrived at the Anbu station, he was dragged by Sarutobi Yushuin to the office, and then went to Kushina, and then went to Tsunade. Until now, Luhan has time to count the drop rewards. Start counting. 28 ingots. There are 9 large Yuhi bottles in total, 3 excellent weapons, 7 penultimate weapons, 8 B-rank ninjutsu, and 3 spiritual potions. These total 58 pieces. 14 drops left. There are 7 A-level techniques, 3 types of futon, wind style, 1 type of doden, earth style, 1 type of suiten, water style, and 2 types of secret techniques. A rare weapon, rare true rainbow chain axe. 2 large bottles of treasure. A big blue bottle of treasure. There are 2 types of S-rank techniques. A bottle of super spirit medicine. As Luhan thought, after killing the level 60 boss, there really is something new. The Jumbo Yuhi bottle and Jumbo Big Blue bottle, as the name suggests, are 2 recovery potions, and their effect is the Big Yuhi bottle. And 30 times the size of the Big Blue bottle. Elf, is it true that only hostile targets at level 60 or above can drop treasure recovery potions? Luhan asked inwardly. Yes, the elf answered succinctly. Understood. Luhan responded, and immediately reached out and picked up a bottle from a pile of falling objects. His eyes were a little excited and a little weird. A super spiritual potion worth 500 ingots. The effect is 100 times that of conventional psychotropic potions. It fell so easily. Spirit, killing level 60 bosses will drop super psychotic potions. At level 60, it is only possible to drop the first kill. This time, the super spiritual potion dropped because the subversive triggered the special explosion rate of the first kill of the class. No wonder. Luhan nodded, so it was understandable that there were only 3 level 60 bosses. Bronze, white, silver, gold, and it is still a chance to drop. This is the first time that Luhan has killed a 60-level boss. According to the rules, there will be a special explosion rate. Otherwise, the probability of killing a 60-level bronze boss for the first time to drop a super spiritual potion is also very low. 7 A-level techniques. Luhan didn't read much, and used them all. Because there are S-level techniques, the recovery value of A-level ninjutsu is relatively low. The lowest priced A-level techniques are 10 ingots, while the lowest priced S-level techniques are 100 ingots, which is 10 times the difference. It is better to use up all the A-level techniques, which can enrich the combat ability, and the A-level techniques have less demand for chakra. 2 S-level techniques. Futon, wind style, the sleepy volume ascends to the sky. Futon, wind style, the art of flower rain cutting. Sleepy volume ascension. Luhan raised his brows slightly. He remembered that after killing Mundogen, he obtained this S-level futon, wind style, forbidden technique. Normally, the probability of obtaining the same technique twice is reduced. But Luhan didn't use that scroll last time, but recycled it, so it doesn't affect the drop probability. The art of cutting flowers and rain is an attack ninjutsu, and it is also used to ascend to the sky. Generally speaking, the price of attacking art is generally not high, and the high price is the art with special effects or instant body. Luhan thought for a while. Open both S-level techniques and use them up. This axe. Luhan picked up the rare true rainbow chain axe again. It was a ferocious medium-sized axe with a chain attached to the end of the handle, and the other end of the chain could be fixed on the user's wrist. Metal button. Well, Luhan pondered for a while, threw the axe back into the space backpack, and finally picked up the super spiritual potion. Just now, Luhan was thinking about whether to recover the super psychotic potion. Ding! There is a hostile target 96 meters to the north. The alarm sound suddenly sounded from Luhan's ear. Chapter 0425-naughty. No, at such a time. Who could it be? Luhan was stunned for a moment, and immediately opened the insight map. The insight map shows that the big Yuhi name. The wife of Konoha Hokage, level 50 gold boss, Sarutobi Lake Biwa. Sarutobi Biwako's display name prefix has changed. Hesitant that she does not hold a specific position in Konoha, people's cognition and awe of her are Hokage's wife, so her display name prefix will be changed to Konoha Hokage's wife. In fact, this kind of display is very rare. So-and-so's wife, so-and-so's son, so-and-so's apprentice. Luhan has never seen such a display. This guy, Menopause Aunt, what are you doing here? Luhan frowned slightly, and with a wave of his hand, he put away everything on the soft collapse. According to the specific location shown on the insight map, Sarutobi Lake Biwa was in the outside courtyard, walking towards the main building, and there was no doubt that she came to Tsunade. Tsunade is a direct disciple of Sarutobi Hiruzen. She began to practice with Sarutobi Hiruzen when she was 6 or 7 years old. After all, Sarutobi Bawako is her teacher, and it can be said that she is one of Tsunade's closest people in Konoha. I don't know why I came here in a hurry in the middle of the night. Luhan thought for a while, then disappeared on the soft collapse. In the lobby of the main building, the lights have been lit and it is bright. Sir Bawako, take a seat. Tsunade was quite surprised by Sarutobi's surprise visit. After welcoming Lake Biwa into the hall, he even greeted Lake Biwa to sit down. Tsunade didn't even have time to change his clothes. He only wore a nightgown and went to the kitchen to marry hot water. Poured some tea for Lake Biwa, and sat on the chair beside him. Tsunade respects Lake Biwa, but not in all like Sarutobi Hiruzen. Sarutobi Bawako is sitting on a chair in a plain robe. Although she is a half-old MILF, she can't compare with the young and beautiful Tsunade, but she has a dignified appearance and looks extraordinary. She seemed to have something on her mind, and she didn't speak since she entered the door, frowning slightly, as if she was thinking about something. Tsunade could see that Sarutobi Lake Biwa was worried, but he didn't rush to ask. Tsunade. Sarutobi Bawako raised the teacup, glanced at Tsunade, and said, Hangwang is your apprentice, right? Perhaps it was because Bawako grew up watching Tsunade, she didn't beat around the bush and went straight to the subject. Yes. Tsunade was stunned, wondering why Bawako asked this. What happened to him? It's nothing, I'm just curious. Sarutobi Bawako observed Tsunade's expression. What kind of person do you think he is? Tsunade blinked. He's very good. He's a very good ninja, with a strong will and the highest talent I've ever seen in my life. Although he is sometimes naughty, but PFF'd. Lake Biwa spurted out a mouthful of tea. Naughty. Lake Biwa is hard to imagine that someone would use this word to describe. Cold light, this is a top ninja with a reward of 35 million tal in the black market. Although he is young, his ability and style seem to have nothing to do with naughty. Lord Bawako, what's wrong with you? Did you get hot? Tsunade got up abruptly with some nervousness. No, it's all right. Bawako waved his hand and motioned Tsunade to sit down. Go ahead. Talk about his past, Hiruzen said. You discovered him. Before, I didn't know him for a long time. About a year and a half ago, we just came back from the mission. I heard that the young patriarch of the Uchiha family was causing trouble again, so Tsunade began to tell, and he was disappointed in Sarutobi Bawako. There is nothing to hide. This Konoha, there is nothing that Sarutobi Lake Biwa cannot know. Unless it was Sarutobi Hiruzen who specifically asked not to tell Sarutobi Lake Biwa, but for now, Sarutobi Hiruzen has not given a similar order. Because he has the ability to know people, the teacher gave special permission to allow Han to enter Anbu, but he has to take an exam. He grew up very fast in Anbu. What's even scarier is that until now, his growth rate has not slowed down. He once lied to me, saying that he was reincarnated, and the ghost believed him. When I was in the country of the vortex, if it wasn't for him, I might have. I was desperate. Really, I'm not afraid of Biwa-sama's jokes. At that time, he suddenly appeared and saved me. Lake Biwa-sama. Tsunade spoke in general, then looked at Lake Biwa and asked, you seem to want to know about Han. It's because I'm just curious. He saved me in the black market, and he even used Rashomon techniques to reveal his identity. Bawako shook his head, put down his teacup and stood up. Nothing else. you have a good rest, you don't have to send it. After saying that, Lake Biwa hurriedly walked out. Tsunade was full of doubts. She still wanted to have a good chat with Sarutobi Bawako, but Sarutobi Bawako had already left. She could only look at Sarutobi Bawako's back and nodded slightly. Sarutobi Lake Biwa went out. Tsunade raised his hand, a gust of wind blew, and the door closed automatically. Strange. Tsunade frowned and muttered to herself. She didn't understand why Sarutobi Lake Biwa came today. She just asked about Han's situation. It was abrupt, it didn't seem so simple, and Tsunade couldn't figure it out. Not only Tsunade couldn't figure it out, but Lu Han, who had been eavesdropping at the corner of the upper stairway not far away, couldn't figure it out either. This Sarutobi Lake Biwa mean. Even after returning to Konoha, what are you going to do? At midnight, on the rooftop of the Hokage building. How is it? As I said, Tsunade has an extraordinary feeling for Han Guang. Danzo stood with his hands behind his back, looking at the moon in the distance. Well, indeed, listen to her tone, huh? Naughty. Perhaps in Tsunade's mind, Han Guang is still a harmless child. Sarutobi Bawako, who was standing beside him, frowned deeply. She was very worried. It was Danzo who told her that Tsunade was very close to Han Guang, so she went to test it. If you want to move the cold light, Sarutobi Lake Biwa has to consider all aspects. I will issue a mission to the Tsunade trio in the near future to temporarily leave Konoha, Danzo said. Chapter 0426 _ The storm is coming. Then you go as soon as possible. Sarutobi Bawako turned to look at Danzo. His eyes flashed coldly. Just wait for Tsunade and the others to leave Konoha, we will do it right away. No problem. Danzo's face was expressionless, his voice sank, we have to do it quickly. As you said, if there is a cold light for another day, Konoha will be in danger for a day, and now I think you should also understand that the cold light is a threat to Konoha. Not just in himself, but in. A lot of people believe him. Trust him. It's scary, it's easier for him to tell stories than we thought. That's what worries me the most. Said Sarutobi Bawako, I hope this can be resolved before Hiruzen returns. Hiruzen, it may be a while before he comes back. Danzo said, glancing at Lake Sarutobi Biwa again, let's go. Call. The two disappeared from the rooftop at the same time. Tsunade's residence, guest room on the second floor of the main building. Lu Han crossed his knees on the soft slump, his eyes were tightly closed, and the whole body was rippling with gentle chakra fluctuations. After a long time, Lu Han let out a long sigh and opened his eyes. He finally chose to use the super psychotic potion. Although Lu Han has relatively a lot of chakra at this stage, and recovering the super spiritual potion can get at least 250 spiritual potions, Lu Han still chose to use it considering what may happen in the near future. Lu Han did not recover any of the drop rewards from the first kill of the level 60 bronze boss and the level 50 white silver boss this time. All for one reason, something big may have happened recently. Lu Han is not sure what Danzo is going to do, and it is precisely because he is not sure that he must be fully prepared. Recycling ingots will have the value and use them directly, which is more suitable for Lu Han now. And the rare true rainbow chain axe can actually be recycled, but it is not urgent to recycle this kind of thing. If there are not enough ingots, it is too late to recycle it. Lu Han, the blade of Kurigakure, has never recycled it. Danzo, White Fang, Hanzo, it's really head-scratching. Lu Han lay down on the soft slump and pulled the quilt, but he was still full of thoughts. He knows that he may have to face several fierce battles in the near future. Danzo is going to do bad things. If there is a chance, Lu Han will definitely kill Danzo. The battle with Captain Anbu of White Fang. In terms of combat power, White Fang is more difficult to deal with than Danzo. And the powerful and desperate Hanzo. Until now, Lu Han has some regrets. At that time, he should not have sold his information to Hanzo, but now regret is useless, Lu Han can only face it. On this day, Luhan fell asleep very late. When he woke up again, it was already noon, and he was awakened by someone. Luhan, who was lying on the soft slump, frowned, opening his eyes and tilting his head. Tsunade, dressed in a ninja suit and fully armed, stood on the edge of the soft slump. Seeing Luhan woke up and looked at him, he raised his hand nervously and stroked the hair on his temples. "When did you come?" Luhan asked in a daze. Just here." Tsunade's face was a little unnatural. She couldn't admit to Luhan that she had been here for a while. She had been staring at Luhan for a long time, because she was strong and would not let Luhan feel any malice, so Luhan, who was sleeping, couldn't find Tsunade right away. "Is it noon?" Luhan, who sat up, glanced out the window, raised his hand and patted his mouth again and yawned. "Just now, Lord Danzo announced to me, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru a spying mission to the Land of Rain." Tsunade quickly adjusted his mood and said solemnly, "We have to leave after noon, and this mission is expected to be half a month." "Oh," Luhan suddenly regained his energy, and said, here, in his heart. "Han, did something really happen? Can't you tell me now?" Tsunade turned around and sat on the soft side, staring at Luhan's eyes. In fact, normally, Danzo's mission to Tsunade was very important. It was normal. Sarutobi Hiruzen was away, and the task was naturally released by Danzo, but Luhan had given Tsunade a vaccination in advance, which made Tsunade feel abnormal. Luhan pondered for a moment, and immediately showed a heavy face, nodded to Tsunade. "It's something very serious happened. It's related to Danzo. This turmoil is unavoidable, even, I may die in this storm." Luhan stared deeply into Tsunade's eyes, and had already entered the actor mode. "What is it?" "You don't need to know yet. The less you know, the safer you are." "But don't say it. If I survive, I will tell you." "Han, it's already this time. I don't want to." "Don't." Luhan stared at Tsunade, raised two fingers, gently pressed Tsunade's lips, and then probed slightly. His voice was very affectionate and soft. "I hope this is not the last time we meet, you know. In my heart, you always, the most important thing." Luhan is not very good at speaking love words, but he is very good at acting. When the words fell, he had already kissed Tsunade's lips lightly. Tsunade's whole body was stunned, his emotions were a little excited, his breathing quickened, but he forgot to push Luhan away. It wasn't until Luhan put his hand on Tsunade's shoulder that Tsunade reacted with a shake and pushed Luhan away. Grabbing Luhan's collar again, Yuhi said fiercely, "Little bastard. You bastard, are you lying to me again?" "Of course not, how could I joke about this kind of thing?" Luhan's expression couldn't be more sincere with a clear conscience. "Call." At this moment, chakra fluctuations suddenly appeared outside the window of the guest room. From the shadow on the window, it could be seen that a ninja appeared outside, kneeling on one knee on the eaves outside. "Report, Captain. Emergency," the people outside said respectfully. "Tell me." Luhan suddenly frowned and looked. "The garrison is abnormally mobilized." The ninja outside said quickly, "The transfer process does not conform to the Konoha garrison plan filed in Anbu." This guy. Luhan was startled, and his heart stirred up. Is it true that Danzo can't wait so much? The garrison has moved. Who is it aimed at? Chapter 0427_Luhan and Hyuga Huyang. As the deputy captain of Anbu, Luhan is in full charge of Konoha Anbu when Captain Whitefang is out on a mission. Generally speaking, as long as Luhan is in Konoha, there will be Anbu ninjas following him. This is to ensure that Luhan will not disappear. There will be situations where no one can be found, so that Anbu can notify Luhan immediately if there is an emergency. Obviously, the abnormal mobilization of the garrison corps is already an emergency. Since the preparatory stage before the war started, Konoha has entered a state of military administration, and the guarding tasks of Konoha have been handed over from the Konoha Guards to the Konoha Garrison Corps. It can be said that the safety of the lives of tens of thousands of people in Konoha is all under the responsibility of the Konoha Garrison Corps. And the meaning of Anbu's existence: the first is to ensure the status of Hokage, the second is to maintain the safety of Konoha, and the third is to monitor the entire Konoha. Therefore, it can be said that the abnormal mobilization of the garrison army is a big taboo. I see, you go. Luhan finally raised his head and said to the window, by the way, ask Bailey to see me. Yes, the ninja outside the window responded, and immediately disappeared. Anbu's code name is Bailey, which is Hyuga Bonin, the third captain of Konoha Anbu. Some time ago, he went to the country of Vortex with White Fang and Huan Feng, and assisted White Fang in tracking the Ghost Light and Magic Moon until the Ghost Light and Magic Moon and nothingness perished. Afterwards, he didn't come back. Until recently, when Danzo returned to Konoha, Bailey and Wanfeng came back with them. Currently, the important Anbu people in the country of Vortex, except for White Fang, only the first team leader, Dogwan, that is Senju Nozomi. In the end, what happened? Tsunade asked, looking at Luhan who was frowning. At this time, she has fully believed that something big is really going to happen. Abnormal mobilization of the Garrison Corps. At present, only Danzo can command the Garrison Corps in Konoha. Danzo has just given a mission to Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru Sanin on the front foot, and the rear foot has no record to mobilize the Garrison Corps, which is too unusual. Actually, I also really want to know, what the hell is Danzo doing? Luhan looked at Tsunade. I just heard some wind noises before. Tsunade's face became very ugly. When Luhan mentioned Danzo, she was not surprised, because only Danzo could give Tsunade a mission order and mobilize the garrison. Definitely what Danzo is going to do. We'll find out, it won't take long. Luhan said, subconsciously lowered his voice and approached Tsunade. We are like this, since he sent you to leave Konoha on a mission, you. But this, in case. If we can. Don't think too highly of Danzo, and don't underestimate me, I'll see you later. Then, do you want me to see Lord Lei? He should. Don't. Danzo will know for sure. Half an hour later, Tsunade joined Jiraiya and Orochimaru at the entrance of the village, entered the forest and headed for the northwest border of the Fire Country. At the same time, Hyuga's main clan mansion. In the quiet study room, a tall and dignified middle-aged man paced back and forth in front of the bookcase, watching with a half-opened scroll in his hand. He has always had the habit of reading books on time. Even if a full-scale war has broken out, the Hyuga family has a heavy task. He couldn't let go of this habit for a while. Dong dong. Patriarch. With the sudden knock on the door, a respectful voice sounded outside the door. Hyuga Huyang looked up at Fang. The voice outside the door was familiar to him. Come in. Squeak. The door opened, and Ben and Hyuga stepped through the door, hurried to Hyuga Huyang, and respectfully said again, I have seen the Patriarch. Is the mission of the country of the Vortex going well? Hyuga Huyang smiled lightly. There are very few ninjas in the Hyuga family who will make Hyuga Huyang really satisfied. His younger brother Hyuga Haeyang is one, and his cousin Hyuga Bonin is also considered one. Hyuga Benin is not yet 30 years old. Although his strength is not in the top of the Hyuga family, he has enough stamina and has the identity of the Anbu squad leader. No one in the Hyuga family can compare to this. Everything is going well, Hyuga Bonin replied without saying much. He has been back in Konoha for a few days, but he has not had time to join the Wei clan. Anbu has a lot of affairs recently, and Anbu members are always on standby. Open. Well, it's fine. Hyuga Huyang nodded, without asking more, then paused and said, how many days can you stay at home when you come back this time? No. Hyuga Burnin raised his head. Patriarch, I came back with a mission this time, and I have to go back right away. Mission. Hyuga Huyang raised his brows slightly. It has something to do with me. Hyuga Bonin said that he had a mission, and he came to see Hyuga Huyang, which was naturally related to Hyuga Huyang. Yes, Hyuga Burnin continued. Patriarch, someone wants to see you. Also, don't let other people know about this. See me. Hyuga Huyang was stunned. He rolled up the scroll in his hand subconsciously, and thought for a while. Cold light. Yes, Hyuga Burnin said. More than 10 minutes later, Konoha downtown tea house, private room on the top floor. Lu Han, wearing a black robe and a mask, sat by the window, looking out at the desolate street, drinking tea with his only son. Call. Whirlwind blew up. Hyuga Huyang appeared out of thin air at the table. Lu Han quickly got up, raised his hand and gestured to Hyuga Huyang, and the two took their seats at the same time. Lu Han picked up the teapot and poured a cup of tea for Hyuga Huyang. Hyuga Huyang was watching Lu Han's eyes, but he couldn't see any information in those eyes, and he didn't speak until Lu Han put down the teapot. Captain Hangguang, what's the matter? Please say it directly. Hyuga Huyang's voice was indifferent. We don't seem to communicate in private, so it would be inappropriate to meet in this way. As the chief of Hyuga main clan, Hyuga Huyang's representative, it is the entire Hyuga clan, so he always thinks more. Actually, if it's not a last resort, I don't want to meet Mr. Huyang in this way. Lu Han looked out the window. It's just that something very difficult happened and I had to do it. What? Hyuga Huyang stared at Lu Han and slowly raised his teacup. If I say, Lu Han looked at Hyuga Huyang, Danzo is going against it. Do you believe it? The teacup that Hyuga Huyang had brought to his mouth suddenly stopped, and he squinted slightly at Lu Han. Hyuga Huyang put down the teacup and said, I can't believe it. Chapter 0428 Uchiha changes _. Hyuga Huyang knows Danzo well. They are the same age. They grew up together. It's all Konoha high-rises. Danzo is a person who is very bold and careful. He can kill people with a smile, or he may win over opponents. Hyuga Huyang thinks he can't understand Danzo. Tiger Yang can affirm Danzo's loyalty to Konoha. As a disciple of Hokage Senju Tobarama, the second generation, Danzo, like Sarutobi Hiruzen, has experienced the most difficult period for Konoha. He has done many wrongs and evil deeds, but he always regards Konoha as home. Danzo is the leader of the Konoha martial arts faction, and he wants Konoha to become the overlord of the ninja world. This is clear to all Konoha executives. Han Guang said that Danzo was going to rebel, but Hyuga Huyang couldn't believe it. You may have misunderstood what I meant. You can be so sure that you can't believe it. Do you think what I said is? Lu Han looked at Hyuga Huyang's voice and paused. Danzo will betray Konoha. Then what are you talking about? Hyuga Huyang asked directly without denying it. The seat of Hokage, Lu Han said hoarsely, then picked up the teacup, slowly brought it to the mouth of the opening of the mask, and took a sip of the tea. He was also observing the changes in Hyuga Huyang's expression. When Lu Han said the words, Hokage, Hyuga Huyang's expression was moved. He not only knows Danzo's loyalty, but also Danzo's ambition for the position of Hokage. When the second generation of Hokage just left, Danzo and Sarutobi Hiruzen competed for the position of Hokage, and he still remembers it fresh. You Anbu, what did you investigate? Hyuga Huyang's eyes flickered and he asked, what news did you get? You still don't believe me. Lu Han sighed. I have no reason to believe you. Hyuga Huyang said. Also, Lu Han nodded and looked out the window again. I can't come up with any real evidence. Danzo is very secretive. He will never let anyone get the hang of it before the incident, but there are some very interesting things. Maybe I should let you know. What? Hyuga Huyang's face was calm. Look over there. Lu Han raised his finger and pointed out the window, over there. Those two people are root ninjas. Danzo's subordinates have been following me for a while. Oh, Hyuga Huyang turned his head to look. His breath did not fluctuate in the slightest, but wrinkles suddenly appeared around his eyes. Byakugan. In the eyes of Hyuga Huyang, the world has become gray and white, and everything is made of lines, perspective. The scene quickly zoomed in, and Hyuga Huyang saw that in the tower across the street, two Konoha ninjas stood side by side with expressionless faces. I see. Hyuga Huyang looked back. He was still calm. People do exist. But not a root ninja. Hyuga Huyang can't be sure. Han Guang said yes. That's just what he said. The two expressionless adult male ninjas had no obvious features. One more thing. Lu Han immediately added. Just about an hour ago, the Konoha Garrison Corps carried out a large-scale abnormal transfer without filing, you know. I don't know. Then you can take a look, just now. I believe you should understand the defensive layout of the garrison. Hyuga Huyang was silent. In fact, he didn't want to view the defensive layout of the Konoha garrison in this way. It was taboo. Inevitably, he will see something he shouldn't. Lu Han slowly picked up the teacup. He was not in a hurry. Hyuga Huyang thought for a while, but stood up and stared. This time the wrinkles around his eyes were more obvious. He slowly turned his head, turned around. He wanted to check the defensive layout of the Konoha garrison. It's that simple. In the whole of Konoha, except for some special restricted areas, he can see and see through other places. About a minute later, Hyuga Huyang withdrew his eyes, and his eyes had become normal. He sat down again, but frowned. Just as Han Guang said, the Konoha garrison has undergone a very strange large-scale mobilization, which has completely disrupted Konoha's defensive layout, causing loopholes in the defense. Hyuga Huyang is incomprehensible. Trust me now? Lu Han asked. Perhaps. Hyuga Huyang pondered. I'm not sure what Danzo is going to do, but... Lord Lei, he probably won't. Lord Lei, he may have been deceived. Lu Hanlian said, he can only obey orders. He doesn't know what Danzo is going to do, and when things are settled, he can only follow the trend. Powerless revolving heaven. Tears. He is the commander of the Konoha garrison army. Is a generation higher than Hyuga Huyang, the top powerhouse of Konoha during the First Ninja World War, and is now a very terrifying existence. Hyuga Huyang was silent again. He had difficulty digesting what Han Guang said. It was too scary. The Second Ninja World War has just begun, and the situation is still unclear. In this period, Danzo will take advantage of Sarutobi Hiruzen to leave Konoha and seize the position of Hokage. Isn't he afraid of affecting the morale of the Konoha ninjas? In fact, from another point of view, it is not incomprehensible that Danzo did this, but also because of the war. Danzo is a martial artist. The Ninja World War has begun, and he is the most excited. He wants to seize power, to control Konoha, maybe. To achieve his ambitions. Let Konoha rule the ninja world. Hyuga Huyang is thinking, and Lu Han is drinking tea. Whoa! The whirlwind suddenly rolled up, and a ninja wearing a black robe and a mask appeared at the door of the box, knelt down on one knee and quickly said to Lu Han, "Report, Captain, emergency." Lu Han glanced at Hyuga Huyang, put down the teacup and said, "Speak." The Uchiha clan has changed, and it seems to be preparing for war. The black-robed ninja reported. Call. Lu Han didn't say anything yet. Hyuga Huyang stood up suddenly, watching the black-robed ninja open his mouth, but didn't make a sound. In fact, he wanted to ask the specific situation, but he reacted as soon as he was about to speak. That Anbu ninja, it was impossible to answer any of his questions. For the Uchiha clan, Hyuga Huyang is very sensitive. I see, I'll deal with it later. Lu Han said hoarsely, looked at Hyuga Huyang again, and waited for the black-robed ninja to disappear before saying, "Lord Huyang, do you believe it?" Chapter 0429 _ It's true this time. Hyuga Huyang slowly sat back in the chair again, with a solemn expression, and he was silent again. Hyuga Huyang, who looks strong and can even be said to be fierce, is actually a very good thinker and likes to think. He does not jump to conclusions easily. Decisions are not made lightly. However, monitors the Anbu Vice Captain Hengguang. Unconventional and undocumented large-scale mobilization of the Konoha garrison. The sudden change of the Uchiha clan is suspected of combat readiness. All of this seems to indicate what is going to happen, and what is going to happen is inseparable from Danzo. Although Danzo and Uchiha have always been very unfriendly, Danzo is a person who is desperate to achieve his goals, and the Uchiha has an ancient and famous tradition of martial arts, and has never been able to gain the trust of Sarutobi Hiruzen, so it's not impossible that Uchiha and Danzo hit it off. Hyuga Huyang is very concerned about what the Uchiha family will do, because Hyuga and Uchiha have always been on the tip of the needle. Once the Uchiha family gains power, the Hyuga family will definitely have a hard time. Actually, I can't promise Lord Huyang what will happen. Lu Han said again, I don't expect Lord Huyang to make a decision now. I only hope. Lu Han dragged a long voice. Speak. Hyuga Huyang looked up. I hope you, the Hyuga family, can prepare well, and respond to all changes with the same thing first. Lu Han said. Hyuga Huyang blinked and said solemnly, our Hyuga family is always ready. Well then, if anything happens, I will send someone to notify Lord Huyang as soon as possible. Lu Han said quickly, at that time, I hope Lord Huyang will not hesitate. Everything is for Konoha. Between Lu Han and Hyuga Huyang ended in a heavy atmosphere, mainly because Hyuga Huyang was in a bad mood. It seemed that he was on his mind. Lu Han took the first step and left the tea house. Back to Anbu Station. On the forest path, Lu Han hurried in front, followed by a mysterious Anbu ninja, who was the ninja who had just reported to Lu Han about the Uchiha clan's strange behavior. He was Kato Kai. In Konoha Anbu, there are 20 or 30 Anbu ninjas who have lived with Lu Han to death. Most of them have performed missions with Lu Han in the Land of Water, but very few are really close to Lu Han. Kato Crack is one. Sir, just now, why did you let me say that? Kato Kai couldn't help asking. It was Lu Han who arranged for him to appear at the right time to report the Uchiha clan's change, that is to say to Hyuga Huyang. In fact, the Uchiha clan did not have different move. Suspected combat readiness is even more nonsense. It's all calculations. I have to do this, the storm is coming. Lu Han pretended to sigh deeply. Kato didn't ask any more, because he felt that Lord Hengguang didn't want to say why. Not long after, Konoha Anbu Station, Cave Square. Notify all the ninjas on call, gather. Lu Han hurried forward, turned his head and gave Kato Kai a command. Yes. Kato stopped in response. After a few minutes. On the high platform on the north side of the cave square, Lu Han stood with his hands behind his back, and the captain assisted Sarutobi Yushuan to stand beside Lu Han, frowning slightly, and sometimes glanced at Lu Han, showing doubts. He had already smelled an unusual smell. It's so special, the super lazy and super irresponsible Captain Han Guang would call a ninja to teach him. Under the high stage, more than 100 Anbu ninjas gathered. In addition to the combat units, non-combat units responsible for scientific research, interrogation, intelligence analysis, medical treatment and other non-combat units were also present. Lu Han's order was to notify all the ninjas on call, that is to say, at this time in Konoha, except for a small number of Anbu ninjas on missions, everyone else has arrived. This should be the first time I have called everyone here. In fact, I don't want to do it, because doing so means something very serious has happened. Now is an eventful time, the ninja war has begun, and we Konoha ninjas are the front line fought bloody battles with the enemy. Compared with them, we lived a very comfortable life, but we could not slack off. Now, in addition to the intelligence work, we Anbu also need to protect the safety of Konoha, maintain the authority of Lord Hokage, and ensure the stability of Konoha. It's rare for Lu Han to be so long-winded. After all, this is the first time he has given a lecture. He just wants to be as formal as possible. Finally got to the point, facing a pair of eyes that don't understand. Let me announce that Anbu has officially entered a state of special combat readiness, implementing the two-shift standby rule, and at the same time strengthening the surveillance and protection of the restricted area. Lu Han's hoarse voice echoed, this state will be maintained until the day Lord Hokage returns to Konoha. What I said today will be classified as Anbu's secret, except for those present. No one else is allowed to know Akatsuki at this stage. That's all, go get ready. Yes, Captain. There was a promise from the audience. Looks like something has happened. Lord Hengguang didn't say anything. You go ask. Why don't you go? This is going to be a big deal. When the Anbu crowd dispersed, they were all talking in a low voice. The command of special combat readiness is not something that can be given casually. This will make every Anbu ninja work hard on the combat readiness level and stick to it for a long time. Some ninjas don't even have enough time to sleep. This state of combat readiness cannot be maintained for a long time, generally only when something extremely important will make Anbu enter this state of combat readiness, such as a hostile force is going to attack Konoha. Luhan stood on the stage and watched the crowd disperse quickly. The square quickly became empty. Sarutobi Yushuin took 2 steps and asked in a low voice, "What happened?" "It's not completely sure yet, but it's bound to happen, something terrible," Luhan said as if he didn't say anything. He didn't know what Danzo was going to do. It was all speculation, so he didn't want to explain to Sarutobi Yushuin. Call. A figure in black robe suddenly appeared behind Luhan, knelt on one knee and said coldly, "Report." "Speak." Luhan turned his head slightly. "The Uchiha clan has changed, and it is suspected of combat readiness," the black-robed ninja said quickly. Luhan stayed for a while. "It's true this time." Chapter 0430_interesting. There are always many unbelievable coincidences in this world. There is usually some kind of inevitability in these coincidences. Luhan arranged for someone to say that the Uchiha race has changed, because this thing may happen, but the probability is very low, but I didn't expect it. It really happened. Uchiha. Before Luhan said anything, Sarutobi Yushuin had already whispered, staring at the ninja kneeling on one knee behind Luhan, then turned his head sharply to look at Luhan. Hongguang announced that Anbu had entered a state of special combat readiness, and immediately got news of the Uchiha clan's change, which was definitely related. "I see, continue to monitor the Uchiha clan. Send more people." Luhan raised his hand and gestured behind him, and said in a low voice, "Go." "Yes." The ninja responded coldly and disappeared in place. He is the nameless ninja of Anbu Zero Squadron. Originally, Luhan had no jurisdiction over the nameless ninja of Zero Squadron, but at this time Hokage was out and White Fang was out on a mission. According to Anbu's latter responsibility rules, he could only report Uchiha's changes to Luhan. Matter. No wonder I got the news at noon that the garrison was mobilized abnormally on a large scale. Lord Danzo, did he discover something in advance? Sarutobi Yushuin pondered. His thoughts were completely different from Luhan. From his point of view, Danzo mobilized the garrison to deal with the Uchiha. And Luhan knew Danzo's maliciousness, so he thought from a different angle and came to a completely different conclusion. Don't tell anyone about this for the time being, it's business as usual. Luhan glanced at Sarutobi Yushuin. I don't want anyone else to know about this, understand? Yes. Sarutobi Yushuin's heart froze, and he responded respectfully. He had a good personal relationship with Luhan, and Luhan had never spoken to him in such a tone. Sarutobi Yushuin could feel that things were more serious than he imagined. Is Adai still in retreat? Luhan asked again. Yes. Sarutobi Yushuin nodded. Might Dai has been in seclusion for a while. Since the last time he went to Hyuga's house with Luhan, Might Dai has rarely appeared in Anbu. Since he is the entourage of Vice Captain Hongguang, other people can't control it. Let him put aside the practice and prepare for it. Luhan continued, I'll go see Lord Danzo, and when I get back, let him come to see me. Yes. Go away. Luhan dodged and disappeared on the high platform. Meet Danzo. Luhan must go, because he has to pretend he doesn't know anything. Normally, Danzo is currently in charge of Konoha. Anbu should report to Danzo when he finds out about the Uchiha clan's change, just like Hokage reports to Hokage when he is there. The strength that Luhan can mobilize and use is far less than Danzo, so he has to do more than Danzo, and even, if necessary, he may strike first. The afternoon, Hokage building, Hokage assistant office. What's the matter? Danzo asked in a low voice while sitting behind the desk. Regarding the arrival of the cold light, he was calm, so that people couldn't see what he was thinking. This has always been the most terrifying thing for Danzo. The place. I just got the news that the Uchiha ninjas are unusually mobilized, and they seem to be preparing for war. Luhan said hoarsely at the desk. What? Danzo raised his head suddenly, his pupils contracting violently. It's still unclear what the Uchiha tribe is going to do, and the sub-clan of the vassal Uchiha tribe hasn't changed yet. Luhan said again. Danzo's face became gloomy and uncertain, his eyes flashed, and his face gradually became terrifying. Bang! Sure enough, Danzo patted the table and stood up. He seemed to have known something. This scene was quite interesting in Luhan's eyes. Danzo's performance was undoubtedly a success and there were no flaws, but the line of Yuhi's blood-dripping text on his head was somewhat ironic. Danzo couldn't fool Luhan, and the full of malice made Danzo no matter how he performed, he couldn't deceive Luhan. Blah blah blah. Danzo came out from behind the desk and started pacing back and forth, looking a little anxious, his brows furrowed into a pimple. Luhan stood upright in front of the desk, motionless, he just needed to behave normally, and didn't need to do much. Did you send additional staff to monitor Uchiha? Danzo stopped abruptly, looked at Luhan and asked. Yes, Luhan responded. Well, withdraw everyone, although Anbu is the ace of Konoha, but against the entire Uchiha clan. The loss is not worth it. Danzo seems to have made the worst plan. I will mobilize the garrison and make them responsible. As for the Uchiha clan, you Anbu, just maintain normal operations. Quote. Okay, Luhan responded again, but he didn't refute. No objection. The heart is sneer. Now it seems that if the Uchiha clan didn't make some kind of agreement with Danzo, what the hell? And, Danzo raised his hand to remind Luhan, in an hour, I will hold a high-level secret meeting, in the second conference room of the Hokage building, don't be late. Understood. Luhan nodded. To Danzo, Luhan immediately returned to the Anbu station. Might Dai was already waiting for Luhan in the command room, and even Hyuga Luoning, who got the news of the special combat readiness, arrived. Luhan summoned Hyuga Bonin and Sarutobi Yushuan to the commander. Luhan didn't tell them what would happen, just said what to do after getting the order. An hour later, Luhan appeared on time outside the second conference room of the Hokage building. Taking a deep breath, Luhan raised his hand and pulled the top of his fat kabuto hat, and then pushed open the door of the conference room. This is a small conference room. The surrounding doors and windows are blocked by curtains, and the light is very dim. In the middle of the conference room is a round table with a maximum of 10 people sitting around. As soon as Luhan entered the conference room, he was shocked. Everyone else has already arrived. There are 6 people in the conference room, 4 of whom are named Yuhi. Hokage assists Danzo, Consultant Homura Mitokado, Consultant Kaharu Udatane, and Sarutobi Lake Biwa. The other 2 are orange names, Advisor Hyuga Huyung, and the commander of the garrison army, Inuzuka Tears. Interesting, Luhan thought to himself, he encountered something incomprehensible. How could Homura Mitokado and Kaharu Udatane be Yuhi? They support Danzo. Chapter-421 Inuzuka Tears _. Could it be because of the times? Luhan pondered to himself. Kaharu Udatane and Homura Mitokado were Sarutobi Hiruzen's strongest backers in the 60 years of Konoha in the original book. What reason did they have to abandon Sarutobi Hiruzen to support Danzo? Or was it blinded by Danzo? Shouldn't be able to be a consultant, should be shrewd. Luhan couldn't figure it out. Many mysteries seemed difficult to solve until the end. Without saying a word, Luhan walked to the empty chair next to the desk and sat down. He attended this high-level secret meeting as Anbu's vice captain, and he dressed up to keep Anbu's ninja mysterious. After sitting down, Luhan glanced at Inuzuka Tears. He had never communicated with Inuzuka Tears before. He was still a little interested in this strong man who had made great achievements for Konoha during the First Ninja World War. Inuzuka Lei, the contemporary patriarch of the Inuzuka clan, about 50 years old, more than 2 meters tall, well-proportioned but with extremely thick arms, a face with a Chinese character, and a pair of sword eyebrows that look extremely heroic. Outside his arm, there are yuhi marks on his face, and the yuhi-colored marks on both sides of his cheeks are shaped like tears running down his face. At the feet of Inuzuka Tears, there is a large dog lying cross-haired with silver-gray hair, and its body length may exceed 2 meters, which can be called a giant dog. Inuzuka, who is currently in charge of the Konoha garrison, can be said to be a legend, but in fact, every large army commander in Konoha can be said to be a legendary ninja. Origin is the predecessor of White Fang. Cough. Meeting. Danzo coughed lightly and tapped on the table. Luhan withdrew his eyes that glanced at Inuzuka's tears and looked at Danzo. The information I got this morning, in the battlefield of the Kingdom of Rain, Sunagakur village has used the Puppet Legion and completely suppressed my Konoha Corps in the Sanwon River basin of the Kingdom of Rain. News from the Kingdom of Thunder. The second and third masters of Kumogakure village. The Battle Legion has crossed the North Sea and entered the land from the northeastern border of the land, but has not yet contacted the Legion of the land, just stationed. In the north of the Land of Fire, the Omegakure Legion has been found in the land of Soup. The traces of, suspected to be the Kumogakure First Corps, have not been confirmed yet. As Luhan thought, Danzo held this meeting without mentioning Uchiha at all. It seems to be a normal battle situation report, analysis, and resolution meeting, mainly for the situation of this ninja war in all aspects. These seem to have little to do with Luhan. Konoha Anbu is not a frontal combat unit, and the large-scale battles of various corps have little to do with Anbu. What does Danzo mean by holding this meeting? At this meeting, Luhan has been very silent, just listening. 1 hour has passed. Homura Mitokado, Kaharu Udatane, Hyuga Huyang, Inuzuka Tears have all made speeches, expressing their opinions on the current situation and various proposals. Only Luhan and Sarutobi Lake Biwa didn't speak. Luhan has observed Lake Sarutobi Biwa several times, and Lake Sarutobi Biwa is always expressionless and his eyes are calm. She still has the name Yuhi. She has deep hostility towards Luhan, so this reaction is extremely abnormal. Every time he observes Lake Biwa, Luhan will have a strange feeling in his heart. Danzo is the name of Yuhi, Kaharu Udatane Homura Mitokado is the name of Yuhi, and Lake Sarutobi is also the name of Yuhi. Luhan knows why Sarutobi Lake Biwa is named Yuhi. But it's not clear why Danzo is. Everything is guesswork. In this case, then I will send a message to Iwagakure and ask them to cooperate with our next actions. At the end of the meeting, Danzo finally knocked on the table, glanced at everyone present and said, Hengguang stay, the others go away. The others got up, glanced at Luhan more or less, and walked out of the conference room one by one. The door of the conference room closed again, and the conference room seemed very quiet for a moment. Lord Danzo, what are you talking about? Luhan and Danzo looked at each other and asked. You may be wondering why I didn't mention the Uchiha clan at the meeting. Danzo at the other end of the conference table had a serious expression. I have reconsidered. The average strength of the garrison is not high enough. If the Uchiha clan really appears, what happened, the garrison can solve it, but the loss will be huge. So I decided that Anbu is still responsible for the Uchiha clan. The Anbu I am referring to is not only the Assassination Tactical Special Unit, but also Anbu. Do you have any objection to the Special Mobile Unit, the route, that I command? No. Luhan shook his head lightly. He didn't know why Danzo kept repeating this. Okay, let's go back to the Anbu station together, and I will mobilize all the route ninjas available. Danzo said and got up, and Luhan followed. The two left the Hokage building together and headed for the hill behind Konoha village. At the same time, the mountain behind Konoha village, the only place to go to Anbu Station, is in a forest. More than 30 root ninjas gathered here, arranged in a neat formation. All of them had cold eyes, and they were as still as sculptures. You idiot! In front of the team, the figure in the blood-robed robe sat on the stone, holding a small wooden stick in his hand and knocked twice on the head of the female ninja in front. Aren't you going to die like this? This way, this way, this way, I taught you yesterday, understand? This female ninja knelt in front of the blood-robed figure, looking down at the chessboard on the ground between the two, trembling nervously. Root ninjas rarely have nervousness, but the premise is not to stay with mental illness for too long. Mental illness can do anything. Since it was given to Senluo as a gift, the root ninja, code-named Bing Ling, has never rested. Senluo has taught her no less than 10 board games. Is that so? Bingling picked up a chess piece and asked uncertainly, wanting to make a move but not daring to make it. You really? Senluo just opened his mouth, but suddenly stopped, looked up and said in a weird tone, come on. That bastard Danzo, finally, Why? Senluo not only felt that Danzo had entered the back mountain, but also felt who the person who was walking with Danzo was. Chapter 0432-Crisis Forest. I didn't expect it. I really didn't expect it, ha 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 ha. Senju Senluo muttered for a while, and then burst into laughter full of madness echoing in the forest. The 30-odd ninjas who formed a team behind Senluo remained motionless, and even their eyes did not change. No one asked why Senluo laughed, because he was mentally ill. Bingling, who was kneeling on the grass, looked up at Sen Lang, then lowered his head, holding the chess piece, hesitantly, not knowing where to play. People are coming. Senluo abruptly regained his composure, and said in a strange tone, get ready. Yes. Bingling got up immediately and agreed with more than 30 root ninjas in the back. Call, 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 call. The root group forbearance scattered and disappeared in a few breaths. Only Senluo remained in place. He didn't seem to have any plans to hide. He sat on the stone again, lowered his head and picked up the chess piece, muttering, idiot, it should be that's right. The forest behind Konoha village is larger than the residential area of Konoha village, and there are various areas with different functions. After entering the back mountain forest, if you want to reach the entrance of the Anbu station, unless you can fly, you must take a specific route. If you go wrong, you may fall into a trap, some sealing techniques are prohibited, or explosions such as detonators are used. The organ set by the ninja tool. In the dark forest, the connected canopy is extremely huge, blocking the sky and the sun. Luhan and Danzo kept jumping on the tree branches, and the speed was not very fast. The two were not in a hurry and were talking. Lord Danzo, I don't know if you can tell me, Lord Hokage. Where did he go? Luhan asked, jumping with Danzo. North. Danzo responded with 2 words, as if he didn't want to elaborate. To the north, this range is too large. The country of rain, the country of earth, and the country of thunder are all in the north of the ninja world. Danzo's answer is the same as what he didn't say. Luhan couldn't figure out where Sarutobi Hiruzen was going. Sarutobi Hiruzen left. It was too sudden, and there was nothing left for Luhan to speculate. What do you think about the Uchiha clan's change? Danzo took the initiative to speak again. Uchiha has long rebelled. This time, it's actually very strange. Although Uchiha Yokoyama is restless, he should understand the priorities. At this time, if he betrays Konoha. Luhan didn't say any more, his meaning was gone. Metaphor. Humph. Uchiha clan. A clan that should have been wiped out long ago. Danzo snorted coldly, making no secret of his thoughts on Uchiha. This. Luhan didn't seem worth answering. Back then, if it wasn't for Lord Hashirama's last wish, the Uchiha clan wouldn't be able to be at ease today. Danzo's voice became lower, He seemed to want to say something secret, but Lu Han wasn't interested in it, so he took advantage of jumping to the Danzo in front spoke, and Lu Han, who was a little behind, habitually opened the insight map, glanced at it, and was shocked. His pupils contracted violently. Yuhi point, Yuhi point, Yuhi point, Yuhi point. Over 100 Yuhi points. They gathered in the forest a few minutes away from here and scattered into pocket formations, but Lu Han couldn't know who the leader was, because Danzo within the monitoring range of the insight map was the big Yuhi. Is this going to kill me? How dare you? There's no turning back if you do this. Lu Han's eyes turned cold and he glanced at Danzo's back. He completed another jump and landed on the branch. Just as it landed on the tree branch, a Hiraishin kunai slipped out of Lu Han's right cuff. Lu Han flipped his wrist at the moment of jumping and nailed the Hiraishin kunai into the tree. The tree branch was trampled and swayed. The squeaking sound of the kunai pierced the tree. Lu Han's strength is enormous, and it is precisely because of his strength that the process of Kuwu's piercing into the tree is extremely smooth, and his voice is extremely low. Has White Fang sent a message back recently? No, but there is information about the country of the vortex. The remaining Uzumaki ninjas have basically left the country of the vortex, and the only remaining resistance forces are the ninjas of the Kurigakure Legion who have been dispersed. Is there any news from Kurigakure? Information about Boiling Rain? No, but now it can be fully confirmed that although Boiling Yu didn't die in that battle, his strength was seriously diminished, and within a few years, it would be difficult for him to return to his former peak state. Humph. This time, high-level Konoha ninjas and daimyo's head bounties appeared one after another in the black market. This matter has nothing to do with Kurigakure, and there must be financial support from the daimyo of the Land of Water. They want to avoid this ninja war, save their strength, and try to disrupt the situation. It's really hateful. We Konoha and Kurigukure's grievance will not be so easily understood. That's right. If we weren't dragged down by the situation in the country of rain, the war in the country of vortex would not have been like that. The two have staggered their actions one after the other, jumping forward and moving forward. Danzo is not a person who talks a lot, but he said a lot this time. Lu Han understands that Danzo wants to distract himself and talk about all kinds of messes. Always thinking, hard to concentrate. And along the way, Lu Han has been responding to Danzo's words, and at the same time, he has also placed Hiraishin kunai again and again in the places he has traveled. Today, there will be a bloody storm. Lu Han is ready to kill people, and at the same time he has laid out a back path. If he wins, he will fight. If he can't win, if he has to run, he has to run. After a few minutes, Lu Han was still following behind Danzo, but he was full of energy. The insight map showed that he had followed Danzo into the encirclement. He did not choose to strike first, because Danzo had not shown maliciousness in his behavior. In this case, Lu Han first attacked Hokage's assistant. The same as a traitorous village. In this case, it will be difficult for Lu Han to mobilize those who can assist him, because he can't explain clearly. Call. Danzo jumped again and landed on the branch, but didn't move, because he saw a person, not far ahead, a figure in a blood robe sitting on a stone. Lu Han followed and jumped to Danzo's side. Bang! A terrifying explosion of air suddenly sounded, and Danzo made a sudden move, with a swirling curse on his hand, and slapped Lu Han fiercely. A sneak attack without warning. Chapter 0433_Lu Han vs Danzo. Danzo's shot was faster than Lu Han's expectations this time. He used his arm to hit a sonic boom, which made Lu Han think of the 8 inner gates. However, Lu Han was already prepared. Boom! Danzo's hand slammed hard on Lu Han, and the swirling curse instantly exploded into a mesh, trying to wrap Lu Han around, but in the process of spreading and closing, he caught an empty space. Only Lu Han's was hit. Afterimage. Lu Han flickered and appeared on a tree more than 30 meters behind. Lord Danzo. Lu coldly stared at Danzo with a hint of sarcasm in his tone. So suddenly, what do you want to do? Danzo stood on the tree branch in front, turned sideways and looked back at Lu Han expressionlessly. The curse mark on his hand quickly disappeared. Sen Luo was sitting on the stone, raised his head, and held a chess piece in his hand. He blinked at the two of them. Being mentally ill, he did not become vigilant or shouted because of the sudden conflict. Weird. You did it first. With a low voice, Lu Han disappeared on the tree branch. Boom. Light of the sword started. The big tree where Danzo was standing was directly smashed into slag, and the terrifying shock wave swept all around. Danzo had already jumped out. Lu Han flashed out of the shock wave, and the sickle slashed out again. Secret art. The lock of infinity. Danzo, who retreated violently, made a seal. His right hand moved forward, his left hand grabbed his right wrist, and a psychedelic black light flickered out, turning into dozens of chains of curse seals, shrouding Lu Han away. Lu Han could clearly feel the threat of Danzo's attack, which was a secret technique similar to a trap, and could not be fought recklessly. Shadow Flash 2. Lu Han disappeared within the attack range of dozens of curse imprint chains, completely bypassed, and then appeared beside Danzo, with a wave of his arm. It was Hiraishin Kue like a rain of flowers in the sky. There may be hundreds of them. He threw Hiraishin Kunai directly from the space backpack. Humph. Danzo snorted coldly, disappeared from the attack range of Kunai, and appeared on a tree in the distance. The moment he appeared, he had already completed the hand seal. Futon, wind style, crushing. Call, rumble boom. The terrifying wind swept across the forest, breaking the trees and tearing the ground. Even Senju Senluo, who was watching the fun, had to fly to the sky to avoid it. The destructiveness of this move was extremely amazing. In Futon wind style, within the range of the crushing attack, even the steel will be torn apart, but obviously, with this level of attack, it is difficult to hurt the cold light in the peak state. Danzo's purpose is not to hurt, but to remove obstacles and clear a patch benefiting from the open space where Hiraishin Kunwu was hiding. He threw out hundreds of Kunwu pieces from Lu Han and blew it away. Facing the attack of Futon wind style oppression, Lu Han didn't do much, just dodged and appeared on a tree in the distance. Hiraishin Kunai on the way here, enough for him to escape the crisis in the simplest way time and time again. Damn cold light, today is your doom. The wind was still raging, but Danzo, who had been drinking, appeared in front of Lu Han like a ghost, and the sword light suddenly rose. The weapon used by Danzo is a very high-quality katana, which he usually carries behind his back. Boom, bang, bang, bang. Lu Han waved his scythe and started a confrontation with Danzo with cold weapons. Lu Han used his physical power to bless his arms, completely suppressing Danzo in terms of strength, but chakra consumed more, and although Danzo was not as powerful as Lu Han, his swordsmanship was extremely powerful. Weird and tricky, he is the leader of the Roots. I don't know how many top killers have been trained in the past 10 years. The swordsmanship is naturally very strong. The entire Konoha can completely suppress him in terms of swordsmanship skills. Except for White Fang, there is no second person. Maybe there are others who are better than him. The technique is stronger, but not too much. The sickle and the sword intersected again and again, and the shock wave continued to vibrate. Lu Han and Danzo were only left with shadows. The two kept flickering, chasing up and down. Danzo, who is in his prime, has always been in his prime. In fact, he doesn't like to kill himself, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have the strength to do it himself. Lu Han is powerful. Danzo is very good at unloading his sword skills. He calls himself a line of swordsmanship, which he learned by himself when training root ninjas. It is very special. Therefore, although Lu Han can suppress Danzo in the confrontation of swords, it is difficult to find an opportunity to cause heavy damage to Danzo. Little devil, I didn't expect you to be so accomplished in swordsmanship. What a terrifying genius. Danzo's low voice entered Lu Han's ears. Humph. Lu Leng snorted and didn't say much. He can't be distracted. Because he knew that there were still a large number of root ninjas lying around, and there were some enemies whose identities Lu Han could not be sure of. Lu Han needed to be fully prepared. Tough little brat. Danzo sighed suddenly, stepped back, and quickly hand-sealed the knife with his backhand. I won't play with you anymore. Lu Han threw his hands to the sky. ... 3 Hiraishin kunai mazored high into the sky and spread out. The higher they flew, the farther they were. Sen Luo, Danzo shouted loudly. Got it. Don't scream. Sen Luo, who was flying high in the sky, responded impatiently. 3 Hiraishin kunai reached a height of several hundred meters, but they saw green and green flickering. Sen Luo, who was flying in the air, used his Mokuden wood-style ability, threw out 3 vines, and entangled the 3 Hiraishin kunai. Lu Han flickered and appeared in the one of the Hiraishin kunai, but saw that the vines entwined with kunai burst out again with 6 or 7 branches, entwining towards Lu Han. Kaden Fire Style Dragon Fire Bullet. Lu Han blinked his eyes to complete the hand seal, and the LV9 Ultimate Fire Dragon flared from the air. ... Konoha Village, on Hokage Rock. Hyuga Luo Ning and several Hyuga Jonin gathered together, driving the Byakugan to observe the entire Konoha village, and they found out the moment the flames erupted in the sky of the back mountain. Captain is attacked. Go and inform. Hyuga Luo Ning turned around and shouted sharply. Ya, Might Dai, who had been on standby for a long time, clenched his fists and roared, his whole body rippled with terrifying chakra fluctuations, rising again and again. Boom, 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 boom. The 8 inner gates opened 6 in a row. Might Dai, who was in a frenzied swirling airflow, rushed out, jumped directly from the Hokage rock, and fell to the back mountain forest. Chapter 0234_Clouds move in all directions. Of Hokage rock, fireballs fell from the sky and bombarded the forest. With the deafening roar, the earth shook, and the flames rolled and spread. At the moment when the flames spread and became slightly thinner, a solid figure with a mask rolled out of the big pit on the ground, and then kicked the ground again. The ground collapsed a little, the figure disappeared, and only a wisp of fire moved rapidly in the forest. 6 doors Might Dai. The strength is getting stronger and stronger. In fact, Might Dai at this time has the ability to forcibly open 7 doors, which will give him cage-level strength, but it is difficult for him to maintain the state of 7 doors, which will be life-threatening. This is second. Simply comparing the speed, even the average cage-level powerhouse, it is difficult to catch up with him. The terrifying speed of the high-temperature flames that can rub against the air is enough to make Might Dai rush back to the Anbu station in the shortest time, and he is a super shortcut, no one can stop him. The strength of the 6-door Might Dai barely ranks in the top 10 in Anbu, but White Fang is not as fast as him. He just can't maintain it for too long, but reporting is enough. Run wild. Run wild. The flesh on Might Dai's face was shaking because of the speed. Just bypassing a trap zone forest, Might Dai crossed a small river and suddenly felt the danger. Boom, boom. The small river behind him burst into 2 splashes of water, and 2 figures with cold aura sprang out of the river, with emotionless eyes under the shimmering metallic mask, and 2 knife lights chasing Might Dai. It's a root ninja. Danzo is thoughtful and considers everything. He doesn't know that Lu Han knows everything before, but he understands what it means to be prepared. Therefore, he has already assigned people to all the main roads leading to Anbu's station. The purpose is to prevent anyone from discovering the situation and reporting it to the ninjas in the Anbu station. Humph. With a cold hum, Might Dai's speed suddenly increased. The 2 root ninjas couldn't catch up with Might Dai at all, the speed difference was too much, but they didn't give up immediately. They performed the teleportation technique several times in a row, and each time they successfully approached Might Dai, but they would be thrown away again in a trance. Actually Might Dai wanted to kill these 2 people, but Lu Han gave him the order, don't stop for anything. After successfully getting rid of 2 root ninjas, Might Dai continued to go crazy. Going around the forests of the 2 trap areas again, and still far away, Might Dai saw 2 people under the big tree in the distance, to be precise, a corpse and a seriously injured. Look at the outfits, it's all Anbu ninjas. Damn, Might Dai roared out, like a Yuhi-colored lightning flashing past the dead and injured Anbu ninja. Still haven't stopped. Might Dai remember Lu Han's words, don't stop, can't stop. After a few breaths, Might Dai disappeared without a trace, and even the violent breath was gone. Call, call. Two icy silhouettes flickered under the tree. They were both root ninjas. The two dead and one injured under the tree were actually traps. The injured one was the bait. Anbu ninja who was attacked to death. If Might Dai had just stopped to check the situation of the injured, he would not have been attacked to death, but at least he would have been held back. The situation has changed, go and inform the leader. The tall and thin ninja on the left said coldly. The root ninja on the right disappeared directly in place. Slashed through the throat of the dying Anbu ninja. At the same time, the Hyuga family gathering place in Konoha village. In the spacious indoor practice field, more than 10 senior ninjas from the Hyuga family surrounded the city in a large circle. All of them opened their postures and looked at the sturdy figure in the middle of the field with a solemn expression. Hyuga Huyang was dressed in a plain-colored loose-fitting robe. He stepped forward with a heavy waist. His hands were like knives in front of him. Start! Hyuga Huyang shouted fiercely. Huh! More than a dozen Hyuga senior ninjas moved at the same time, and all of them attacked Hyuga Huyang by all means. Bang 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 bang. The dull impact sounded one after another, and a huge ring-shaped phantom appeared at the foot of Hyuga Huyang. He seemed to have changed from one person to several people, and his movements seemed to be slow and fast, and everyone who came into contact with him felt being hit by him with a single blow, the surrounding area of the ring-shaped phantom. This is the daily practice of Hyuga Huyang. As the head of the Hyuga main clan, Hyuga Huyang is a powerful leader in Konoha, but he never slackens. Whoa! A whirlwind suddenly rolled up near the door, and a Hyuga ninja appeared out of thin air, knelt on one knee and said eagerly, Patriarch, Captain Anbu Hangguang is attacked. Boom! The gust of wind swept across the Hyuga ninja, blowing his hair back violently, but it was Hyuga Huyang, who had already rushed in front of him. Location. Hyuga Huyang asked in a deep voice. Back Mountain Forest. Konoha Village, the gathering place of the Uchiha tribe. Outside the quaint tower, two Uchiha elites, Jonin, held their hands at the gate, standing upright, their eyes fixed and serious. In the entire Uchiha clan, there is no second person who can let the elite Jonin guard the gate. Yes, the one who lives in this tower is the current patriarch of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Yokoyama. The gatekeepers, the two Uchiha elites, Jonin, are his guards. Chirp. A crisp chirping echoed in the sky, and a slap-sized bird ninja beast flew like an arrow, circled the tower, and chirped along the window and got into the tower. Soon. Whoa! The gate of the tower was suddenly pushed open, and Uchiha Henshin strode out from the tower, with a fiery color in his eyes, and ordered in a low voice, notify everyone to gather. Prepare to go. Somewhere in Konoha village, a small room with curtains half closed, dimly lit. Clap la la. The dice were shaking. Tsunade was sitting cross-legged in front of the wooden table, shaking the dice clock. His eyes were a little squinted, and he glanced at Jiraiya and Orochimaru on both sides of the table. They had been hiding here for a while, and there was nothing to do. The three of them were in Tsunade's driven to bet all the time, yes. Tsunade has been losing. Snapped. Tsunade put the dice clock on the table, raised his brows and said, this time you all lose. Boom. Master Tsunade, it's not good. The door was pushed open, and Hyuga Luo-ning rushed into the room and shouted. Chapter 0235 _ It's all a play. Don't yell, I haven't opened it yet. Tsunade, who had already lost Yuhi's eyes, said impatiently, quickly flipped the dice clock. 3 dice, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, a total of 4 o'clock, small. Tsunade's face quickly turned purple eggplant, and there was a crunching sound from his mouth, and Kiba's teeth were about to bite. Lost again. Lord Tsunade. Hyuga Luo-ning, who was standing at the door and was a little stunned by Tsunade's words, called out fiercely. Speak. Tsunade then looked up at Hyuga Luo Ning. Captain Cold Light was attacked. Hyuga Luo Ning said quickly. What? Tsunade stood up abruptly. She finally woke up. Where? Jiraiya, who got up, asked quickly. In the back mountain. The mountain behind Konoha village, the forest near the entrance of Anbu Station. Aura fluctuations approached rapidly, Yuhi-colored lightning flashed in the forest, and wherever the firelight passed, the grass and trees withered yellow. Might Dai can't remember how long he has been running wildly. He has been moving at a high speed and has forgotten the passage of time. He only feels that his whole body is about to burn, some pain, and his heart is beating very violently, as if it is about to jump out of his heart. Can teleport into Anbu's station is already in sight, and there are 3 corpses and 2 people. 2 cold-breathing root ninjas. The 2 had already discovered the arrival of Might Dai, and at the same time disappeared in place. The next moment, they appeared beside Might Dai, who was moving at a high speed, and the sword lights staggered. Go away. Boom. Whoa. Might Dai burst out with terrifying energy, and if there was real chakra waving around, he used the simplest but most domineering way to force 2 ninjas away, which hurt his body, but he had no choice. Due to too much consumption along the way, the 8 inner gates state is almost unsustainable. The 2 root ninjas were completely unable to resist the impact of the energy. They had already tried their best, but they were knocked out in the confrontation with the energy. The next moment, Might Dai reached the small open space and completed the hand seal with extreme speed and disappeared out of thin air. Anbu Station, dimly lit passage. Might Dai, who appeared suddenly, flashed through the passage and appeared in the brightly lit cave square. Someone. The captain is attacked. Somebody. Might Dai shouted hoarsely, and then the crazy chakra fluctuations on his body quickly converged to nothing. His knees softened, he knelt on the cold rock ground, his hands on the ground, hanging his head, breathing heavily, sweating like rain. The current Anbu is in a state of special combat readiness. There are no ninjas with nothing to do in the square. When Might Dai knelt down, they all rushed into the passage behind them. Might Dai felt very uncomfortable, his head was a little dizzy, he knelt on the ground and panted, he raised his right hand tremblingly, took off the mask on his face, and threw it on the ground weakly. His face was pale. In less than a minute, hundreds of fully armed Anbu ninjas gathered in the cave square. What's going on? Hyuga Burnin rushed to Might Dai's side. Captain was attacked. Might Dai still knelt on the ground and lowered his head, he didn't even have the strength to look up to see who was questioning. In North. Wanfang leads the team to stay. Sarutobi Yushuan, who hurried over, spoke quickly. He heard what Might Dai said. The others follow Captain Bailey. Prepare to fight. Yes. There was a sound of promise in the square. Sir. Why? Uchiha Baiyi, codenamed Huanfeng, said urgently. Lord Hengguang gave an order in advance. Sarutobi Yushuan turned to look at Uchiha Baiyi, squinting slightly. This is for your own good. Sarutobi Yushuan knew about the Uchiha clan's change before, so he also understood why Lu Han did this arrange. Anbu ninjas come from various clans, and it is not uncommon for them to conflict with their own clan as Anbu ninjas. There are not 1 or 2 Konoha ninjas that Anbu has captured for various reasons, but generally speaking, there is no need to worry. Uchiha White Knight is a special case. He is Anbu's second-ranked squad leader. If it were Sarutobi Hiruzen, maybe he would take this opportunity to test Uchiha Baiyi, but Lu Han wouldn't do that. He didn't have the time to spare and just hoped that there would be no trouble in Anbu. The mountain behind Konoha is a forest battlefield that was devastated by Futon Wind's style. Lu Han, SLV-9 Ultimate Fire Dragon Fire Bomb launched by Senju Senluo did not achieve any results. In fact, Lu Han himself was sending a signal. This is the signal he and Hyuga Luo Ning agreed to release different Kaiden, fire style, in the air. Ninjutsu represents different meanings. LV-9 Ultimate Fire Dragon Flame Bullet represents an attack for help. On the sky. Lu Han, who released the fire dragon flame bullet, fell down quickly, but saw his waist twisting and exerting force out of thin air, and there was a brief stagnation in the air. In this short period of time, he completed the hand seal again and disappeared. In the air, the next moment, he appeared behind Senju Senro. Senju Senluo, who had just avoided the diffuse attack of the flames, noticed the chakra fluctuations behind him, and turned around and threw out 3 black lights. Kai, Kai, Kai. 3 kunai bursts at Lu Han. Lu Han, who was in the air, couldn't control his body to move and dodge very well. He could only swing the sickle several times to knock all 3 Kuu away. Kill that bastard Danzo, I'm optimistic about you Tilda. Sen Luo appeared behind Lu Han like a ghost, and made a weird whisper that only Lu Han could hear. I will, Lu Han replied quickly, then his eyes turned cold, and the return was a knife. Wow, I can't cut it, I'm mad at you. Sen Luo screamed and stepped back, avoiding the scythe's attack. It's all a play. Sen Luo will not hurt Lu Han, he is a green name, and Lu Han will not hurt Sen Luo, there is absolutely no reason. Due to Danzo's order, Sen Luo had to attack Lu Han, but he didn't do his best. If he didn't do his best, Danzo couldn't say anything, because Sen Luo was mentally ill, and the idea of mental illness was always unique. Humph! He heard a cold hum, and Lu Han disappeared into the sky. Chapter 0236_Psychic Izanagi_. Looked up at the sky in the forest battlefield destroyed by Futon. Wind Style quickly withdrew his gaze, his hands collided continuously, his gestures changed, and he was forming a very complicated seal. Lu Han appeared out of thin air on the edge of the battlefield, where there was a Horaishin kunai in the grass. At the same time that Lu Han appeared, a sense of crisis enveloped him, and silhouettes flashed in 4 directions, front, back, left, right, and ninja at the same time. They finally did it. Comes suddenly, quickly. However, Lu Han, who had been driving the insight map, had been prepared for a long time. The icy blade could tear the air apart. 4 knives, front, back, left and right, slashed at Lu Han without any dead ends. The sickle was swung to the side at a strange angle like a thunderstorm. At the same time, Lu Han twisted his waist, leaned back, and stepped on the ground with his feet, but his back was almost parallel to the ground below, and the whole person was twisted at a right angle of 90 degrees. Poochie! Whoa! Blood splashed, and the root ninja who bore the brunt was cut off by the waist. Lu Han, who leaned back, avoided the attack of the 2 knives. The sickle blocked the last knife and shot it directly. The root ninja was also thrown out. Root ninjas are completely dead. They only have an offensive style, not a defensive style. Therefore, although there is a huge gap between their strength and Lu Han, they also pose a threat to Lu Han. The 2 knives missed a single hit and quickly changed their moves, both stabbing down at Lu Han's waist and face. Lu Han twisted his waist again, turned his body over, and struck out fiercely with a dazzling blue light with his left hand. Go away. Boom. LV9 Ultimate Rasengan shattered the 2 knives, and the chakra, which was highly condensed and swirling rapidly, broke out at this moment, and the roar and dazzling light covered everything. At the same time, 2 root ninjas rushed out again from the bushes not far away. They were in the hand seal during the jump and completed the hand seal when their feet landed. Futon, Wind Style, Centrifugal Uzumaki. Kaden, Fire Style, Super Flame Dragon Art. Call. Boom. The fire borrows the wind, and the wind helps the fire. The combination of A-level Futon, Wind Style, Ninjutsu and A-level Kaden, Fire Style, Ninjutsu produces extremely terrifying effects. The super tornado that spreads over a range of tens of meters turns into a fire tornado. With the power of destroying the sky and the earth raging on the battlefield, the core of the attack is the location where Rasengan broke out, which is where Lu Han is. The roar roared with the wind, deafening, the ground cracked and countless gravel scattered around, thick smoke and dust filled the air. The other side of the battlefield, Danzo is still in the hand seal, with the curse marks covering his face, arms, and neck. He is staring at the place where the fire tornado is raging, his hair dancing wildly in the wind. He knows, this level his attack may be able to hurt Han Guang, but it is difficult to kill him, and his original intention of arranging this is not to kill Han Guang. The fire tornado raged for about 10 seconds before dissipating. The open space that had been crushed and devastated before became scorched. The ground was full of bumps and ups and downs, and it was extremely clean. No ashes. Boom! The ground suddenly burst, and Lu Han broke out of the ground. Call, 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 call. Another 4 figures appeared around Lu Han almost at the same time. As before, they chose to use cold weapons to attack Lu Han without fear of death. Lu Han felt that something was wrong, but such an urgent situation made it difficult. He didn't have time to think about it. In fact, he could use Horaishin's technique to escape the crisis, but he didn't do that. It was totally unnecessary. Lu Han didn't plan to escape from the beginning. Of course there is no reason to hide. Hiding all the time, except for more consumption of chakra, has no meaning. Murder is king. There must be a result for this matter today. Facing the siege of the 4 elite Jonin, Lu Han fought to his death. The knife shines like a rainbow. Nutuoliu Iheji ancient mud. Danzo on the other side of the battlefield suddenly made a high-pitched voice. The strange syllables contained an ancient and inexplicable charm. I saw him stop the hand seal while reciting, and his left hand was like a knife. He slashed the palm of his right hand, knelt down on one knee, and slapped the ground with his bloody right hand. Psychic Kazanagi. The pitch-black spells sprang out from under Danzo's palm like chains. There were 8 in total. They were close to the ground and extended in all directions at high speed. While they were extending, they continued to fork, forming a structure like a spider web. The area was getting bigger and bigger. The room covers 100 meters, and the breathing room covers 500 meters, getting bigger and bigger. Rumble boom. The entire forest floor was shaking violently, as if it had been shaken. Lu Han, who had just killed the second root ninja, was already stunned by the changes around him, and instantly disappeared under the attack of the 2 knives. Using the technique of Horaishin, Lu Han appeared at the edge of the forest on the other side more than 100 meters away, and there was a Horaishin kunai in the grass at his feet. Before Lu Han threw hundreds of Horaishin kunai at a time, they were blown away by futon wind-style crushing and scattered around the battlefield. The spider web curse has expanded along the ground to a diameter of 3 kilometers. Lu Han looked at Danzo, and suddenly turned his head to look into the distance. Boom, 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 boom. The roar that seemed to crack the sky and the earth suddenly sounded, one after another, and huge stone walls rose from the distant forest. Each stone wall was 100 meters high and at least 10 meters thick. On each stone wall stood a person. The stone walls are connected in circles, forming a super huge circular wall that encloses a 3-kilometer radius. At the same time, there was a crack in the sky, and a flat stone statue of a ghost face with a diameter of more than 100 meters sank out of the gap and suspended in the sky. Hum. The strange energy fluctuations swept away within a 3-kilometer radius, and a translucent energy shield appeared in the sky and buckled on the huge circular stone wall. The core of the energy shield was the grimace stone statue. At this moment, Lu Han's expression changed dramatically. Disconnected from the Horaishin kunai who had been arranged in the distant forest. Can't feel it. Lu Han not only arranged a Horaishin kunai, but he couldn't sense it all. Boundary. This is an enchantment. The nature is close to another dimension. Lu Han suddenly turned to look at Danzo. Danzo looked at Lu Han from afar, stood up slowly, and made a grinning sound. Hangguang, today is your day of death. Chapter 0437 _ The villain died of talking too much. I didn't expect that Danzo would still be able to do this kind of art. If many ninjas cooperated, this art shouldn't be owned by Danzo alone, but by Konoha. Lu Han's hand holding the sickle couldn't help but tighten. I finally understood why a ninja came to die just now. Wave after wave, they attacked Lu Han. Every wave of ninjas could not kill Lu Han, but they could bring a lot of threats to Lu Han. Maybe, They just wanted to attract Lu Han's attention and let Lu Han not flinching, but unable to be distracted in battle, so that Danzo has enough time to perform this complex psychic spell. The enchantment has been fully formed, with a spider web-like spell seal on the ground, surrounded by stone walls, and an energy shield above it. The tight seams can cut off Lu Han's connection with the horizon outside. This has shown that the strength of this enchantment has already approaching a different space. Lu Han's initial master horizon cannot exert the true power of horizon at all, and it is impossible to escape this enchantment by relying on horizon's technique. This is like a cage, and Lu Han has been locked in it. Hangguang, you're scared, right? Danzo grinned and spread his hands to Lu Han, as if to say, you have today too. Humph, you really worked so hard to kill me. Lu Han stared at Danzo's eyes. Danzo, it seems that today, it's not you who died. It's me. Hangguang, at this time, you still dare to speak madly. Danzo raised his hand and shook his finger at Lu Han, and said loudly, no no no. You have to remember that today, you must be the one who died. Really? Lu Han's heart was heavy, his eyes quickly moved away from Danzo's face, and quickly glanced around. Lu Han's location is far away from the surrounding stone walls, but since each stone wall is 100 meters high, which is higher than the so-called sky-high tree, with Lu Han's amazing pupil power, the entire enchantment can be roughly divided. The situation is clear. Azanozin's enchantment. Unlike the enchantment formed by chakra changes, such enchantments usually have some problems, such as the ninja who casts the enchantment ninjutsu cannot move and needs to be protected, or the enchantment itself will be restrained by a certain attribute of chakra. Azanagi's enchantment is completely different from those enchantments. It is not composed of chakra, but a finished artifact. Like Rashomon, Azanagi's enchantment is a psychic tool. It is much larger than Rashomon in volume. Of course, due to the different properties of props, it is not possible to compare strengths by size. The enchantment is surrounded by 81 stone walls, and on each stone wall stands a ninja. These ninjas are shrouded in halos, and they seem to be one with the enchantment. If Lu Han guesses correctly, these ninjas should not be able to move, but they are not afraid of attack. Attacking them is equivalent to attacking the enchantment. Konoha's second advisor guard level 30 elite turned to Razin. Konoha's third advisor guards, level 40 white silver boss, Kurai Ichiro. Konoha Hokage's wife guard, level 30 gold boss, Sarutobi Unlimited. Konoha Anbu special mobile force ninja, level 40 bronze boss, Midwinter. Konoha's third advisor follower, level 20 white silver boss, Nito Health. A total of 81 ninjas, including 34 Chunin, 39 Jonin, and 8 elite Jonin. They come from 4 groups: Kaharu Yutate's guards, Homura Mitokado's guards, Sarutobi Bawako's guards, and Root ninjas. In fact, Kaharu Yutatane should be the number 1 advisor. The reason why the rules judged her as second is because Konoha's real number 1 advisor is Danzo. Danzo is both an assistant to Hokage and a high-level advisor, and the two identities do not conflict. 81 people, then there are. Lu Han quickly glanced around, and immediately expanded the scope of the insight map. There are a total of 123 Yuhi names, except for the 81 people who cooperated with Danzo's surgery. There are still with 42 people, the big Yuhi spot is still Danzo. Don't look. It's useless to look. You can't escape from here. Danzo said loudly. His tone was much lighter, full of confidence in controlling everything. I can tell you frankly. This enchantment, only allow in. Don't go out. Even me, I can't leave this place without removing the barrier. Oh, unless you have the power of Lord Hokage, don't try to break the barrier. Impossible. Quote. Oh, is that so? Lu Han, who was in a bad mood originally, blinked his eyes strangely. That's it. If you don't believe me, you can try it. Oh, ha 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 ha. What are you laughing at? Ha ha ha. I wonder if you've heard of a theory. What? The villain died of too much talk. Danzo froze for a moment, his brows wrinkled deeply subconsciously. He understood the meaning of Han Guang's words, the villain. From Han Guang's point of view, Danzo is the villain, but Danzo didn't figure out what he said was wrong, or Han Guang was just making a mystery. You'll understand. Lu Han gave Danzo a meaningful look. Danzo's calculations were innumerable, but he still left Lu Han a chance to turn the situation around. He didn't know how many reinforcements Lu Han had contacted. You're stalling for time. Lu Han suddenly spoke again. Insight into the map showed that more than 20 Yuhi points were approaching Lu Han in the center of the map, and they stopped and went, as if they were doing something. I don't deny it. Danzo spread his hand to Lu Han again. The victory was in his hands, and he seemed extremely relaxed. I'll accompany you, Lu Han said indifferently, then raised his hand and put the sickle on his shoulder. Danzo stared at Lu Han, and the relaxed smile on his face gradually subsided. Han Guang's fearlessness made him feel uncertain. In the face of such a monster-like existence, he was not completely sure of winning from beginning to end. Call. A whirlwind suddenly rolled around Danzo, and a figure with an icy breath appeared, leaning closer to Danzo and whispering. This ninja came from outside. Well, got it. Danzo nodded. The ninja dodged and disappeared. Han Guang, does your confidence come from Anbu? Danzo looked at Lu Han and sneered loudly, you really think I'm not prepared? Chapter 0438-Black Torrent. The Root Ninja just reported to Danzo that an Anbu ninja broke through the blockade and returned to the Anbu station. Because the ability used by that person is the 8 inner gates, it can be concluded that the person might die. There is no doubt that the ninjas in Anbu's station have already received the news, because it takes time to send the news back, so it can be inferred that Anbu not only got the news at this time, but has also left Anbu and is heading towards the battlefield. Lord Danzo. Ha! Lu Han laughed. He was still used to calling Danzo Lord Danzo, of course, without any respect, full of teasing. What else do you have to prepare? Just say it. What do you think? I can't escape from here. What are you afraid of? You'll know. Danzo-sen sneered, suddenly turned around. His body was illusory, and disappeared in place. Lu Han suddenly became vigilant. Danzo suddenly appeared in front of Lu Han, and the sword was angrily slashed. The blade was extremely fierce. Lu Han reacted very quickly, raised his sword horizontally. The two started the confrontation of the cold weapons again, and the terrifying shock wave spread around with the collision of the cold weapons, and only the two of them were fast. The shadow quickly entered the forest and came out of the forest again. In this way, the two played for a whole number of minutes. Neither of them made any big moves to kill each other quickly, so they both seemed extremely cautious. Lu Han was waiting for someone, and Danzo was also waiting for someone, so the confrontation between the two at this time can be regarded as killing time. Anyway, idle is idle. Even so, the confrontation between the two also caught everyone by surprise. In the forest about 600 to 700 meters away, on the giant tree that is 60 to 70 meters high, more than 10 people gathered on several adjacent tree branches, watching Danzo and Han Guang's cold weapon duel. All of them are high-level ninjas. Although they are far away, they can barely see the battle situation clearly. 3 in the middle, Kaharu Udatane, Sarutobi Bawako Homura Mitokado. The others are all guards, except for the 3 captains of the guards who are super elites, and the rest are also elite Jonin. Han Guang. It's really terrifying, he has no weakness. Danzo's swordsmanship will be suppressed by him. Sarutobi Bawako said solemnly. His talent in ninjutsu is even more terrifying, unimaginable. He exactly. Lake Biwa, have you figured out how to explain it to Hiruzen? Homura Mitokado suddenly interrupted Sarutobi Lake Biwa and raised his hand to help his glasses. I will explain it clearly. Yuan Fei Biwa, who glanced at Homura Mitokado, I will bear all the consequences. But the situation seems to have gotten a little out of control. Homura Mitokado was a little worried. Danzo, he has gone too far. Kenyon, You should believe that Danzo is all for Konoha, Kaharu Udatane said. I'm not questioning his loyalty, it's just. Homura Mitokado didn't say any more, he already regretted participating in this matter. At first, when Danzo told him about it, he didn't agree. Talked to him and emphasized that Han Guang was to be arrested and dealt with when Hokage came back. But this is not the case now. Han Guang didn't show any intention of surrender, and Danzo didn't say anything like, surrender without killing, at all. Judging from the strength shown by Han Guang now, if this matter is to be settled today, I am afraid that many people will die. There are tens of thousands of ninjas in Konoha, and dozens of them were killed or injured. In terms of numbers, the losses are very small, but you must know that there are no low-level ninjas involved in today's incident. If all the dead are high-level ninjas, then, to be serious, it can be regarded as a civil unrest in the high-level Konoha. Even if Sarutobi Lake Biwa is righteous and for Konoha, I'm afraid it will make Hokage angry. The solution to the problem is important. Some losses are completely avoidable. Behind Sarutobi Lake Biwa, the strongest, suddenly whispered and turned to look back, followed by the others. 600 or 700 meters is a 100-meter high stone wall. There are more than 20 black-robed masks on the wall, and they are still increasing. It is Anbu. Here they come, faster than anyone imagined. Let's dodge, Sarutobi Bawako said quickly, and jumped out first. The square stone wall of the enchantment of Izana Nuo. Quick, keep up. Hyuga Burnin headed in front, stepping on the vertical stone wall and dashing upwards, surrounded by Anbu ninjas who followed him. In 2 breaths, Hyuga Burnin rushed to the top platform of the stone wall. Violently as soon as he raised his hand, his consciousness stopped, and he said hoarsely, it's an enchantment. More and more Anbu ninjas rushed up, all stopped behind Hyuga Bonin, and they all saw the figure in grey shrouded in halo standing in the middle of the stone wall platform. A wrinkle appeared around Hyuga Bonin's eyes, first glanced at the grey-robed figure, and then looked into the barrier. Lord Biwa, and, Bonin Hyuga said to himself in amazement. He saw Sarutobi Lake Biwa, Kaharu Udatane and others. Although he was puzzled, he didn't think much about it. He didn't have the time to look in again. He saw it. Lu Han is fighting with Danzo. Captain is over there, go in. Hyuga Burnin shouted, taking the lead in rushing across the center line of the platform and into the area covered by the barrier. Quick! Quick! Groups of Anbu ninjas ran along the stone wall into the forest within the barrier, like a black torrent falling down the stone wall. With Danzo, would open the map every few seconds, and a large number of blue dots entered the barrier. Lu Han saw it immediately. There were a total of 86 blue dots, which can be judged from the number of people who landed on Lu Han. Come out, it's Anbu. There are more than 100 ninjas in Anbu. Except for non-combat units and the necessary staying ninjas, this number can be mobilized in a short period of time. Unless Konoha is attacked, it will be difficult for Anbu to come out in full force. Some people are still needed to maintain normal operation. It turns out, Lu Han suddenly understood something, and with a ferocious knife, he temporarily forced Danzo back, and then threw his arm to the sky. Hiraishin rushed to the sky, and Lu Han immediately appeared in the sky, very close to the top of the energy shield. Kaden Fire Style Ghost Flame Technique quickly completed the hand seal, and the LV9 Ultimate Ghost Flame Technique surged out of Lu Han's mouth. Chapter 0439 _ It's all tricks. When Lu Han rushed to the hand seal in the air, Danzo was ready to defend immediately. He was very cautious. But when Lu Han spit out the flames of the dark Yuhi-colored curtain, he didn't understand it again, and was a little confused. Blink. This Kaden Fire Style attack is not against Danzo. Attacked diagonally downwards. The direction of the attack was exactly the direction Anbu Ninja was running from. Danzo looked in that direction, and his expression changed immediately. Quote. Anbu entered the enchantment. Danzo knew it, although the distance was far. But Anbu needed to run to the wall to enter the enchantment. The wall was very high. Danzo, who was in the battle earlier, noticed it with his peripheral vision. Konoha at dusk, it is still bright above the forest, but it is already dark in the forest. Hyuga Bonin, code-named Bailey, drove the Byakugan the whole time, ran at the forefront, and led more than 80 Anbu ninjas to the center of the barrier. Accelerate! Quick! Hyuga Bonin kept shouting, and a strong chakra fluctuation suddenly appeared in the sky. He raised his head suddenly, then his pupils shrank, and exclaimed, "Back! Defense!" It was the cold light. The direction of the ninjutsu attack was exactly where he and the others were about to run. More than 80 Anbu ninjas stopped abruptly. Call! Boom! The attack speed of the LV9 Ghost Flame technique was extremely fast, and it flew down from the sky, but within a second or two, it bombarded the forest dozens of meters in front of Anbu Zongnin. The roar was deafening, and the flames of the Ghost Flame technique were originally just because of the extremely high temperature, coupled with the advantage of the angle of hitting from the sky. The forest with a radius of more than 30 meters was instantly destroyed, followed by continuous explosions. Boom, 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 boom. Just like a chain cannon, starting from the location of the Ghost Flame technique, going north, the explosion continued, and the forest was destroyed more and more. Hyuga Bonin's eyes widened, and he reacted immediately, exclaiming coldly behind his back, "It's a trap. It's an explosion." So it is. Anbu ninja said subconsciously. They were just like Hyuga Bonin just a moment ago, wondering why Captain Hengguang attacked his own people. Naturally, it is not to attack your own people, but to relieve your own people. In fact, Luhan had guessed before, that is, when Danzo was stalling for time, what were the more than 20 Yuhi dots doing in the forest? What's the mechanism to restrain Hiraishin? It was not until Anbu Zongren entered the barrier that Luhan reacted. Anbu's station is in the south of the battlefield. Normally, Anbu's crowds come and enter the barrier from the south. Where they will go is predictable. Forest. So, the 20 or so Yuhi points before were not setting up a mechanism to restrain Hiraishin, but a mechanism to trap Anbu ninja. This can also explain why Danzo suddenly started after getting the Anbu ninja will come. Danzo just wanted to hold Luhan and drag Luhan in the center of the barrier, so that Anbu wouldn't go astray when he came. He would go straight to where Luhan was, and he would definitely run from that forest. Pass. It's all tricks. Then Luhan, who has insight into the map, saw through everything. The explosion below continued. In the sky, Luhan hovered for a short time after releasing the ninja, but he saw his waist twist. His arms waved at the same time, hundreds of black lights were thrown at the same time, and hundreds of Hiraishin kunai. This time, they shot in all directions. Hiraishin kunai in the barrier first. It will always be useful. The enchantment of Izana Nuo Zun only isolates Luhan from the induction of Hiraishin Kuwushu from the outside world, but it does not seal Luhan's Hiraishin ability. Within the scope of the enchantment, Luhan still uses it however he wants. Call. Bastard. You ran up again. It's very difficult for me to do this. You said I hit you. Did I hit you, or hit you? The ghostly figure suddenly appeared behind Luhan, and the voice of Sushinian followed. It sounded, but it was Senju Senro. How long-winded. Luhan didn't reply. Laugh. The sharp wooden thorn pierced out of Sen Luo's palm, hit Luhan's back, and jumped more than 10 meters in an instant. Luhan disappeared into the air before being hit by the wooden thorn. Slap. The flames like fireworks exploded in the sky, and it was the gloomy Danzo who released the ninjutsu. This is the root summoning order. In the south of the barrier, the explosion lasted for dozens of seconds, and the forest in a radius of half a kilometer was completely destroyed. The more than 80 Anbu ninjas who stopped advancing maintained a loose formation, all holding their hands together to maintain the release of the seal, and the whole body was on guard. Standing at the forefront, Hyuga Bonin pushed the Byakugan ability to the ultimate, and glanced around repeatedly. He was worried about a raid. It is already known that it was Danzo who attacked Captain Coldlight, so the terrifying root ninja must be here too. Although Anbu ninjas are powerful, they have to fight back against the equally powerful and deadly killing machines. In the case of the same strength, Anbu ninja can never win the root ninja, either die together or be killed by the root ninja. There is no third result. This is the most frightening part of the root ninja. Call. Luhan suddenly appeared in front of Hyuga Burnin. Hyuga Burnin was on guard at first, then relaxed. I've seen Captain Coldlight. There was a hello. Follow me, Luhan said quickly, then turned around and ran towards the central area of the barrier. More than 80 Anbu ninjas immediately followed. At the same time, the southeast entrance of Konoha Back Mountain Forest. The Konoha Garrison Corps gathered here, completely blocking the entrance and surrounding areas. Outside the blockade, there was a large white-robed figure, and more than 300 Hyuga ninjas gathered together, all with solemn expressions. Lord Tears, what are you doing? Hyuga Huyang stood at the front with an expressionless face, looking directly at Inuzuka's Tears, who was surrounded by the guards. I still want to ask you. Inuzuka tearfully swept away hundreds of Hyuga ninjas, and his voice was heavy. You Hyuga family came out in full force. What are you doing? Chapter 0440 Who is betraying the village? What we do doesn't seem to have anything to do with the garrison. In the face of the stronger and senior Inuzuka, Hyuga Huyang said toughly, our Hyuga family has the right to enter the forest in the back mountain. Me, Hyuga Huyang, there is this right. Even if something goes wrong with our Hyuga family, Anbu will be there to watch over us. Lord Tears, it doesn't make sense for you to block the entrance to the back mountain, right? Hyuga Huyang couldn't tell what order Inuzuka received from Danzo, so he didn't explain it to him. At this time, Hyuga Huyang already understood what the reason for the abnormal mobilization of the garrison corps was, to block the Haoshan forest. They have already done so. The entire back mountain forest has been blocked by the garrison army, and every entrance is guarded by heavy troops. Although such a blockade cannot prevent the infiltration of individual high-level ninjas, it is enough to prevent the ninja group from entering the back hill. You don't need to tell me so much. Inuzuka said indifferently with tears. I have the order of Lord Danzo. Block the back mountain for half a day. Within half a day, no one is allowed to step into the back mountain for half a step. Go back. Come back in half a day. Do you want to? I won't stop you doing anything. Lord Danzo's order. No one is allowed to step into the back mountain for half a step. Hyuga Huyang remained expressionless. Lord Lei, as far as I know, the jurisdiction of the back mountain is in Anbu. You are overstepping your authority. Quote. Sir Danzo will take all the responsibility. Inuzuka said tearfully. Really? Good. Then you said just now that no one is allowed to step into the back mountain for half a step, but why? Hyuga Huyang paused, then snorted. How did the Uchiha people get in? More than 300 ninjas from the Uchiha tribe entered the Haoshan forest a few minutes ago, and this is the entrance they walked through. At that time, Hyuga Huyang had just taken people out of the mansion, and he used his Byakugan ability to see everything. The Uchiha clan is one step ahead. Not that the quality of the Hyuga's ninjas is poor and their movements are slow, but the Uchiha gathering place is closer to the entrance of the back mountain, so they enter the back mountain early. Let the Uchiha clan go back to the mountain. It was the order given by Lord Danzo before. Inuzuka said indifferently with tears. Lord Danzo again. Hyuga Huyang squinted slightly. Lord Danzo ordered you to block the back mountain and told you to let the Uchiha clan enter the back mountain, but not let the Hyuga clan enter the back mountain, like this. Lord Danzo didn't specifically target anyone, but he didn't specifically instruct him. I don't know. Does Lord Lei know why Lord Danzo gave such an order? I'm just following orders. That's not knowing, right? No comment. Oh, Lord Lei is so determined. Do you have to stop my Hyuga family? Hyuga Huyang suddenly raised his hand and gestured behind him. Lord Lei really thinks that these people can stop my Hyuga family. Huh. The low voice is neat and tidy, very imposing. At the same time as Hyuga Huyang gestured, more than 300 Hyuga ninjas behind him opened their postures at the same time, Byakugan opened together, and became ready to fight. Although the garrison corps was numerous, it blocked the entire back mountain, and the people were scattered. There were not many people stationed at this entrance. There was only one brigade, about 150 people, and they were not opponents of the Hyuga family at all. Although Inuzuka tears powerful, but Hyuga Huyang is not vegetarian either. Hyuga Huyang, what do you want to do? Inuzuka's face changed with tears, and he reprimanded, your Hyuga family dares to attack the garrison. This is the crime of betraying the village. Who is betraying the village? It seems that Lord Lei didn't understand the situation. Does Lord Lei dare to question my Hyuga Huyang's loyalty to Konoha? Dare to question my loyalty to Hokage Lord? Hyuga Huyang was very fast. You. Lord Tears. Hyuga Huyang interrupted Inuzuka Tears again, of course. Lord Danzo is very loyal to Konoha village, but, Lord Tears, can you guarantee that he is also absolutely loyal to Lord Hokage? Can you? Hyuga Huyang has always been thoughtful, and at such a time, his words are still very euphemistic, but he can let Inuzuka tearfully understand what he means. You. What do you want to say? Say it straight. Inuzuka's face changed with tears, and there was something in Hyuga Huyang's words. According to the information I got, someone is going to attack Anbu. No, it has already attacked Anbu. Not long ago, Anbu's deputy captain Han Guang was attacked, and the location was in the forest of the back mountain. I was just curious. Yes, whoever wants to hurt Mr. Hokage's cronies, so he wants to go to the back mountain to see, please let Mrs. Lei go. Hyuga Huyang's language skills are very strong, and he always speaks without flaws. Responsibility. Inuzuka frowned tightly, her eyes flashing. In fact, he was confused. Lord Danzo wants to touch Anbu. Just crazy. Inuzuka's duty to obey Danzo's orders, but if Danzo really has a different heart, then... I'm running out of time, Mr. Lei. In fact, I don't want any unnecessary deaths or injuries. Hyuga Huyang said again, if you let me go, I will explain to Lord Hokage about this matter today, if there is anything that happens because of it. Accidentally, I am also willing to take responsibility. Quote. Not only threatened Inuzuka with force, but also moved Hokage out to oppress people. Inuzuka's face darkened with tears, and after a little pondering, he said, remember what you said today. Immediately, he waved his hands behind him, and the ninjas of the rear guard corps quickly retreated to both sides. Quick! Hyuga Huyang shouted in a low voice, and rushed into the forest first. In fact, he didn't want to offend Inuzuka's tears, but he was very anxious. The news of Hangguang's attack and the actions of the Uchiha clan was clear. Hyuga and Huyang didn't need to think too much. In his heart, Danzo and Uchiha would not be good. At dusk, the setting sun is like blood. Back Mountain Forest. The central area of the barrier, because it was crushed by futon wind style and A-level ninjutsu combined with wind and fire, there was no shadow of any vegetation, only a large area of scorched land. When Luhan brought people into the open space, Danzo had been waiting on the other side of the open space for a long time. 23 root ninjas had already assembled beside him. Lord Danzo. Luhan stopped, looked into the distance and said lightly, you don't seem to have many people. Yes, there are many of you Anbu. Danzo curled the corner of his mouth and grinned, do you think I have any other preparations?